one of the areas I had was Delta Wing, and we housed a lot of the COVID positive inmates on that wing. The expectation was that we were going inside those pods to do our 30 minutes checks. That was really scary because people were scared.
This is 56, a Pinellas County Sheriff's Office podcast. I'm Ricky Butler with Laura Sullivan and Ashley Cooley, and we are thrilled to bring you another episode. We have got a great episode for you today. A couple episodes ago, we chatted with Deputy Anthony LaCourte from our Department of Detention and Corrections, and we are dipping our toes back into the world of the Pinellas County Jail this episode with Lieutenant Freddie Hayes. So thank you, Lieutenant, for joining us. But before we get to that, and before we get to Ashley's question, we have some big news we want to break right here for our listeners on 56, and that is we booked the sheriff.
Wow.
My gosh.
Oh, yeah.
It's official? It's official he's coming on?
We booked the sheriff, and we're saying it out loud now because he can't bail.
He can't back out. He's committed now.
You know, this is not, this takes a bit of time to do, and the sheriff is a busy guy, but we finally, I think we just beat him down enough that he finally said, fine, I'll come on your little podcast.
Yeah.
And he's doing it. So look forward to that. We should have him here in a couple months. We're hoping. We booked the recording today, and we're looking forward to having Sheriff Gualtieri join us, and it may even become a two-parter. Who knows?
I'm so excited about that.
It's going to be a good one.
Yeah. Also scared, honestly.
Right. You should be. You should be.
Are you going to let me on?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think so. We'll see, though. We'll see, though.
Yeah, we'll keep your behavior, like we'll
Yeah.
keep
Okay.
tabs
I'll
on
probably
it.
Put
just...
like a little electric zap collar on me and just hit the button if I...
You would prefer that, but I'm probably going to go with the old-fashioned water spray bottle.
Like I'm a cat?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, I like it.
You'll hear the sheriff laugh, and I'll go...
But my hair.
Yeah. Well, it'll be all right. So anyway, look forward to that, listeners. And of course, as always, thank you for listening. And now let's get into Lieutenant Hayes. And first, Ashley has a question for all of us. None of us have heard it. This is your time, Ashley. Take it away.
All right, it's going to level the playing field. They don't know what it is. It's a random, just totally random question.
I like random questions.
Yeah. Good. I do too. So today's question is, if you could live in any of these three like fictional worlds, where would you want to live?
I'm going to like this one.
Yeah, you have three options. Okay. So, and you have to choose one. Okay. You can live in the Harry Potter world and you do possess magical abilities. You can live in the Marvel universe and you have powers. Or you can be in the Star Wars universe and you have the ability to manipulate the Force.
Wow.
What are you choosing and why?
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
I mean, I always wanted to be an X-man, woman, X-person. So...
That's not a choice.
no, but that's Marvel Universe.
Is it? I thought that's DC.
Yeah, it's DC.
I think that's
No,
DC.
it is
Marvel?
not.
It's Marvel?
Oh, come
Okay.
on.
Marvel? Oh,
All right, we've
well,
got
I'm
some
guys just lost your
enthusiastic
nerd friend.
in this
fobbing.
Come
situation.
on.
My bad.
This is
You're looking at
clearly-
me like I'm insane.
No,
But
that's just how I always
look
look.
at that. We both were wrong.
Yeah, it's if I said I always wanted to be a fish or something, and because I was
like,
nonsensical.
that's DC. And
No.
and then I'm like,
Yeah, you don't even have the right to even ask this
I'm a
question
dummy
anymore.
Yeah, right. My bad. Clearly, that's not my choice.
Ashley, idiot. Okay. So you're
Yeah,
Marvel universe.
I'm Marvel.
I don't know, Freddie. Do you have a ready answer? I'm still thinking.
No, I'll go Marvel also.
Okay.
I'll go Marvel.
All right.
I'd like some superpowers.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think so too, because I don't know. I mean, my wife loves Harry Potter. I enjoy watching Harry Potter, but there's like big spiders and shit.
There's all kind of foolishness on Harry Potter.
So I'm gonna go Marvel as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm Harry Potter all the way.
Yeah.
I feel like Harry
I figured
Potter is like a
that.
safe. Well, everybody knows I love Harry Potter.
Yeah. And you know, you don't have to,
Like
if you were
every
a
millennial.
muggle, then no. But as long as
Right,
you
but
didn't
I have
the
powers. I have powers,
Yeah,
but
but
I'm
I don't
also
like the
thinking
wand. The wand would throw me off. It's not
You
real
think?
tough.
It's totally.
What if
tough.
you had like
There's only-
an expandable baton?
Yes.
That would work.
Like a big
I changed
Winchester.
my vote.
Yeah.
There you go.
I changed my vote.
And nobody goes for Star Wars.
No, but nobody did.
Because we don't have flight on here.
That's
Well,
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
no.
That's true. That would have been all of our flight guys
Yeah,
are
they're
Star
big
Wars
Star
people.
Wars.
I don't know. What if you end up Chewbacca on Star Wars?
Good.
Well,
we have some Chewbaccas that already work
I
here,
don't-
so it'd be a
well-
nice transition. Yeah, I mean,
But they can't control. Like they can't control the Force.
You just gotta,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, Wookiees don't control.
That's
the
what I'm
Force.
saying.
You'd have
So-
to be. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like
There's all kinds of creatures.
The world of
and-
Harry Potter is just safer.
I would be
Voldemort's dead.
in the
at this
Star
point.
Wars world. I would be at the cantina.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I would have a couple drinks, and then I would say something stupid about one of the goofy looking creatures in there and get my ass kicked.
Yeah,
That's
you
what
would.
happened. So
Yeah,
that's
you
why
would.
I'm going to stick with the Marvel.
That's no good.
Yeah.
You take CRT with you. We protect you.
That's what I'm talking about. All right. Good
All right.
stuff.
Yeah, I like that question.
Yeah.
I told you
I'm
would.
always so scared of
She
them.
always tries to get the question out of me
gets-
early.
yeah, she
and
gets
then
nervous.
she thinks
Yeah.
she's going to get me.
It is. I mean, Laura doesn't get scared very often, but this, the podcast and this question really can do it. Yeah. And Ashley's been studying already. She's just deep in the books trying to figure out what she's going to ask the sheriff.
Oh, yes.
There were a couple of good ideas floated.
Yes.
But we're not going to talk about them. So
course not.
and neither
No,
are you.
no.
So, all right. On to the guest of honor, Lieutenant Freddie Hayes. Genuinely, I think one of our favorite folks out at the jail
yeah.
in PR because you're into everything. You're such a fun, bright presence. Always positive, always saying hey, running around. Anytime Freddie's in the building, he comes to see us in PR, gives us the high fives and fist bumps all around. It's just he's like our therapy dog. It's awesome. So Freddie, we of course want to learn everything there is to know about Lieutenant Freddie Hayes. But you're one of the support lieutenants at the jail.
Yes.
And you get to do all kinds of great stuff with a lot of our really proactive programs and great programs for the inmates. So I'm looking forward to talking about all that. But let's just start. Where'd you grow up? How'd you end up at the jail?
So I'd like to say first, it's awesome that you guys get the sheriff's announcement on my episode.
Right.
It's an honor for you.
Maybe,
right?
maybe that's why he
Yeah,
agreed because he knew this was going to break on
in
my
our
episode.
in our
maybe.
episode listing on Wikipedia. There's going to be an asterisk next to this
It
week's
should be.
episode because
Absolutely.
we announced.
Absolutely.
And we
the
know this
forthcoming-
episode almost went to somebody else. So you
we'll
booted them,
we'll
right?
talk about that later.
Okay.
See how the voice went kind of down
Yeah,
a little
we
bit.
got- we're getting
We're
serious.
going to be
We'll
serious.
talk about that
All
later.
right. All right.
But no, I grew up in Tampa, Florida.
All right.
And
So Florida native.
Florida
'Cause
native.
People say I grew up in. Right.
No, I was
But
born
they're
and
like-
raised
Okay.
in
All right.
Tampa,
Gotta
Florida.
make sure.
And after high school, I decided to go to the military, the Air Force. After the Air Force, I kind of got out. I was going to stay, but I had my first daughter was born, and I was going to be stationed. I was going to have to leave and go to Maryland. So I chose to separate instead of re-enlisting. So I separated and I went to work for Whack and Hut at the time because I had no plan getting out of the military. Much like there's a lot of people who get out and they don't have a plan. We'll just figure it out once we get out.
What did you do when you were in the military? Or you were
I was
in the
security
Air Force,
forces.
right?
I was security
Okay.
Air Force. I was security
Okay.
forces, which is the equivalent to not the same, but road deputy for
Okay.
the Air
Okay.
Force base. But it's definitely not the same job
Is
at
that
all.
like an MP?
Correct. It's like an MP.
Because I'm a military idiot for the most part, so I don't know among the branches.
Military?
So like an MP.
Idiot?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm the real idiot because what's MP?
Military police.
Military police.
There we go.
Yeah.
See? There we go.
Yep. So it's the equivalent. And Whack and Hut was the easiest job to get into. I literally went. They signed me up that day. I got a uniform. They gave me the training for the licenses, and off I go to a bank. So I worked at
And Whack and Hut is a private security.
it's a private security company. I don't even think they're Whack and Hut anymore.
yeah, they
But
changed to G.
G4S.
G4S
Yeah.
and then Allied.
It's just whack. It's just not
What
an
a name.
intimidating, right?
But
It's a really
a
fun
little
word to
bit, though. It
say.
says whack.
Whack and
like,
hut.
yeah.
I'm going to
Yeah.
whack you.
But the pants were brown with a
Or they're
purple
whack.
stripe
I
down the side.
Or
Yeah.
they're whack.
So it wasn't tough, but it was a job. It paid the bills for me at the time. And I worked at a Hewlett-Packard company, a Hewlett-Packard building as building security after a while. And so one of the managers came and said, hey, we like your personality. So we're going to hire you to work for us. So they taught me I was what they call a data storage collector. And so I did that job about 8 years. And the funniest thing about that is they were moving servers out of our building. It was like a warehouse. As they're moving servers out, we're like, hey, what's going on with the job. It's getting bare in here with the equipment.
Right.
And it's like, no worry, we're opening up a data center in Alpharetta, Georgia. And you guys are fine, though. And we came in one day, and they said, hey, Wednesday is y'all's last day. So it was like a Monday. And they said Wednesday. So again, I leave, and I go, and I work for Wackenhut after 8 years.
So just now, is this still in this area?
This is still in Tampa. This is all in Tampa.
Okay.
All in Tampa.
And then like about what, I'm not trying to age you or anything, but like about what year is this? How many years ago are we talking? Because you started here in 2006?
I started here in 2012.
12, okay.
So this has to be 2000 at the time, 9.
Okay.
2009.
Just helps me with...
Yep, 2009. I'm leaving there. And I go back to work for Wackenhut. And I'm at Progressive Insurance. I'm a bike patrol guy for security for Progressive Insurance. I'm riding a bike.
Did you ever meet Flo?
I never met Flo. Okay. No, Flo wasn't a thing when I don't think in 2009.
What did they have before?
I could have been Flo.
Oh.
You could have been Flo.
Yeah, Joe maybe or something. You know what I mean?
You missed your calling there.
I could have been Flo. But no, I'm on the bicycle with the bicycle shorts and riding around. And the opportunity came to... Wackenhut was getting into the transportation business at the sheriff's office. So I was one of the guys that they brought over to start that contract. So I started the contract. I stayed for 2 years, and then I applied I actually applied to go on the road, but there was no sponsorships at the time.
Oh, yeah.
But the jail was sponsoring. So my intentions were to start at the jail and then transition onto the road. But I got into it. I liked it. And I said, I'm going to stay here, So, and that's how I started.
Yeah. So, I mean, just for context for everybody. So there's a law enforcement certification and correction certification state of Florida. And if you're going to transition from one way or the other, there's a crossover academy you can do. And we have members that do that. But back to so you're doing prisoner transport.
Yeah.
Yes.
When we first started doing that, which is now, about 2012 or so, which is, people ask about that, because before prisoner transport, you could have an officer that was working in St. Pete. Well, St. Pete, actually, they had their own. That's not a good example. You could have an officer or a deputy working, somewhere down in Paso Grill, and they arrest somebody. They got to drive from Paso Grill all the way up to the jail, which if it was busy at the jail, it's going to be a minute.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be a minute. So that was a big time savings, efficiency savings. So that's cool. So you came over, started doing that, end up at the jail.
I end up at the jail.
End up in the academy. How'd you do in the academy?
I did very well in the academy. I was actually, in my academy, they have the #1 overall student.
Oh, here we go.
In my most humble opinion.
So it begins.
But I did get the #1 overall academy.
All right.
Recruit.
Yeah.
So I did well.
Pound for pound, you were the best recruiter.
Pound for pound, I would say, definitely.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. In my most humble opinion.
All right.
But what led you, so you were doing prisoner transport. Did you talk to some of the deputies at the jail? What kind of led to that decision?
At that time, the deputies at the jail hated us.
Oh.
Because we had come in and we took a good job. So the transport's going to pick up inmates and take them to doctor's appointments and do different things like that. The deputies inside the jail, that was a specialized post, a specialized unit that they applied for and received. And it was a good post. So a lot of deputies didn't like us at the time, but I think we had the right group. They put the right group together that came in, and we had a few of the transportation deputies that really taught us how to do the job and fed us a lot of information. And then it was also we had a lot of transportation officers with Wackenhut that worked prior at another agency.
Okay.
So the hardest part about that was they would bring, let's say I work Palm Beach County. Hey, this is how Palm Beach County does transports. And they're trying to tell us, well, no, you have to do it how Pinellas does it.
Yeah.
So everybody knew everything. And I just sat back. I learned. They taught me. My paperwork was always right. And that's how it started.
So even working for Wackenhut, you still were initially going to go out on the road?
No. I had no desires to be
in law
officer,
enforcement?
period. No, I was good with that. So to get back to the question, Sergeant Bailey at the time was the transportation sergeant. And so when I would go down to I did the early morning transport, taking the guys that are going from jail to the prisons. So that's 2:00 in the morning, and I'm hooking up 30 guys with, and I'm sweating. And so I realized, I said, so Sergeant Bailey came and he said, hey, why don't you apply for the sheriff's office? And so I was like, no, I'm good. And so I'm in the A wing one day and I'm hooking up 30 guys and the deputies are kind of watching me. And I said, you know what? I'm sweating. I'm doing more work than the deputies are doing right now for way less pay. So I'm like, you know what, Sergeant Bailey, I'm going to take you up on that.
Yeah.
So I put the application in and here we are.
Okay.
But yeah, initially I had no desires to be a deputy.
All right. Interesting.
But that's what it was. You're working your butt off, sweating, and they're just sitting there, and you're like, well, because that's your job. That's what it's not like our deputies are lazy.
No.
But you're just like, this is a better gig.
Well, at the time, so we're responsible for hooking up the inmates because I need to understand that when I put the leg restraints and the handcuffs on, that I put them on, they're secure. So I'd rather them
it's a
not.
chain of custody thing, yeah.
Right. So I'm doing it. So this is now my job. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do what these guys are doing. I'll watch the next G4SR.
So you go to the academy, you get sponsored to the academy, which is where we're paying for then Deputy Hayes to go through the academy and paying him to go to the academy, and then you come out with a job.
Correct.
What were your expectations? I mean, did you have a pretty good handle on what the world of corrections was when you?
I did not.
Yeah,
I did not. So when
because you've obviously dealt with the inmates, you got that piece, but. What pieces didn't you have coming in?
But so it's strange because when I dealt with the inmates, they were so before I leave the facility, they are secured. So I never had to deal with a inmate by themselves or they have their hand, they're walking freely around. And so I never had that experience until after the academy. And now I'm in high liability training with the trainers. So one of the high liability days, they take us to the jail and they drop us off and they teach us direct supervision. And direct supervision, you have 80 inmates in the pod with a deputy.
That's terrifying.
Terrifying. So so they dropped me off with at the Deputy Wygan is now retired. So they dropped me off with Deputy Wygan, and I'm sitting there like, I may have to go back to Wackenhut because I don't know how I'm going to maneuver through this with 80 individuals, and I didn't know custody levels at the time, like where I was. I didn't know if I was in max or whatever,
And we did, sorry to interrupt you, Freddie, but we did talk to Deputy LaCourte about this too, because that sounds, when you hear and you go, one deputy, 80 inmates, like that's very dangerous. That's not the case.
Correct.
Because the direct supervision pods, or however, is that how you describe it? That's a place that people want to be.
Correct.
Because
they earn the right.
They earn their right to be there. They're well behaved. It depends on their charges. They're you're not going to have troublemakers in there because they just want to do their time and get out.
Yeah. Correct. And at the time, I'm not knowing this. All I know is I have 80 men in front of me. And Deputy Wygan is next to me, and so I watched the way he maneuvered around the pod, and he had no issues. And so I took a lot of the stuff that he did, and I kind of morphed it and made it my own. And I'm still here, so here we go.
Yeah. So talk about that a little bit more, though. I mean, what are you picking up from him to learn how to kind of manage yourself? Did you ever work a direct supervision pod on your own eventually?
Oh yeah. So with him, I picked up several things. So, and if you know Deputy Wygan, he's not, the biggest guy in state. He wears glasses. You think he's a computer guy. But he had total control of that pod. He gives speeches, before
shift.
Beginning
of shift.
At the beginning of his shift, he'd come in and he'd give a briefing about how the day is going to go. If there was an issue, he handled it right then and there. So I said, okay, this is how you gain the respect and keep the respect. So I took that and I morphed it a little bit and started doing some of the same stuff because I ended up in direct supervision off of field training.
Okay.
So I ended up back
straight out.
Straight out, I'm in direct supervision.
Now, is there sort of a path for new detention deputies? I mean, when you come in, is that kind of the place? Is that kind of the equivalent on the patrol side, on the law enforcement side of just starting out, working a beat on the street? Does everybody kind of start in direct supervision, or
no? You can literally start anywhere.
Okay,
you can start in. they split you up by the needs of each division. And so at the time the need was, and our academy had like 29 people. So we had people that ended up everywhere. So the need for me, I just happened to end up in Central Division for whatever reason.
Got it. Okay. I just didn't know if there was like we kind of started with here because you kind of learn all those things you're talking about, and then. So what else? So you became that deputy. You're giving speeches. What are the kinds of things that you're telling these inmates?
Well, see, I like to talk. So
it's like no, you don't.
I'm shy, but I do like to talk.
You're shy.
So absolutely, Ricky, absolutely. I'm very shy. Me too. You see how my voice went down again with that? But yeah, that's when I get real serious. But as I'm giving I'm giving expectations. So as I'm giving my expectations, I'm kind of scanning to see who my issues are going to be in the pod. So for the most part, in those direct supervision pods, the inmates are the same, but you may have one or two or three people that come in while I'm gone for the day, or I may, whatever my shift, they may be gone. They come in, and I need to give that same speech to them that the other 80 individuals receive. So these guys are hearing this speech every day that I'm working. So it's things like, hey, keep your uniform. And I wasn't a tyrant by any means. Keep your uniforms on, keep your inmate tags on. And I give them a reason why. If something were to happen to you in here and you pass out and I have to get you help, and I don't have your inmate ID. Now I have to find your inmate ID so medical can find out if you have any allergies. And all of this is stopping you from getting the care that you need. Yeah. Absolutely. So everything, I wasn't over the top, and I tell them, I give them the analogy of a library. Are you familiar with a library? If you're not, this is a library. The noise level should be a certain level. I'll click the light. When I click the light, that means you're too loud. Things like that.
So when you're kind of giving, because I kind of love this stuff because it's like you're using your words, right? That's your weapon,
right?
So when you're giving them this speech, you're watching. What kind of indicators are you looking for with these inmates that help you identify if they're going to be a problem?
That's the best part.
Right.
That's literally the best part.
And if we're giving away too many secrets here, then
no, you're not giving away secrets. But
is a large inmate or potential inmate population listening to the podcast? Do you think?
Maybe
they could be.
If our numbers jump up a lot after this one.
Yeah, they could.
We'll see where they're coming from.
Yeah, one of the biggest indicators that I'm going to have an issue is when I come in and I introduce myself and I start giving my speech, the inmates will actually start looking towards the area that I'm going to have an issue with, because I was in there. I'm in there a year, and they know that when there's an issue, I'm going to handle that issue. I'm going to separate that individual or individuals, and we're going to have a conversation. So I can always tell the area that the issue is going to be in because the inmates are kind of looking.
Yeah.
And
They're
then
snitching.
Which makes
No. They want action. They want
action.
action.
Ready for the show.
I'm loud again, but exactly. It's like a movie now.
Right.
They're watching because they want to see how I react to whatever I'm about to do. Because they know it's coming.
It's like when you were in school and the whole class would get punished. Everybody's always giving side eye to the kid that was causing trouble. All right,
they know it's coming. And I had the supervision that I had. They allowed me to do my thing in the pod. So there was one incident that I had, and it just happened that in one of the cell areas, everybody in that area was new, and they were ready to play around. As I'm giving my speech, you can hear them laughing, and it was coming. So I called out to the control room, control area, and I asked for Sergeant Slogger was my sergeant now. She's now retired. And so I said, Sarge, I'm about to get on the radio, and I'm about to put a whole cell out into the vestibule. I'm not going to move them, but I need to make a statement. And she said, okay, do what you have to do. So as I go back to giving I hadn't even started the speech yet. I came in and I introduced myself, and I'm telling them, hey, I'm going to get my checks done, and then I'll be back to address. And as I'm doing that pre-speech, if you want to call it, I see upper 8. And I'm like, okay, that's going to be my group. And so I said, I'm going to make a statement. So she said, okay. So as I'm giving my speech, I said, everybody in upper 8, get out. So I put them out in the vestibule. We had a conversation, and they all came back, and we were good from there. But
letting them know that you see them too is part of it.
Yeah,
so,
and like you said earlier, that area is for people who want to do the right thing,
Right.
do their time and not cause trouble,
Right.
and stay in
And
there.
end up in some of the
and
other
they were
less-
young, they just needed to have a talking to. That's
Right.
all. So yeah.
So besides your voice, I mean, kind of using that as a weapon really to kind of prevent that kind of thing. I know that because I'm saying all that, I was thinking of when we had Sergeant Killian on. He started working at the jail in Pasco County.
Mm-hmm.
Pasco, right? Is it anyone? Pasco?
Yeah.
It was Pasco.
So he said that was great because he wanted to go on the road. Brand new deputy. It taught him how to talk to people.
Correct.
But the uniform is a thing too.
The uniform is a big thing, and I'm a dress and appearance guy. I mean, honor guard,
Right.
Oh, yeah.
CRT.
Dead giveaway, but
to me, when I was in training or when I was a liaison with the academies, that's about 50% of your job is
Just the way you look.
When you walk into whatever area you're in, people are scanning you. They're watching to see first, how does this person look? So it's going to tell them two things: either I'm new because my uniform is looks new, or I take pride in what I'm wearing. And then you have the opposite end of the spectrum. I don't care, and but I think that's half of the battle is the way you look in the uniform.
And do you think that, obviously, as we said a couple times, the direct supervision, that's the place you want to be. Mm-hmm. But do those same tactics, those same tools, if you will, does that apply to other areas of the jail? Yeah,
they work everywhere. If you can talk to people,
Yeah.
you usually don't have an issue. So in the jail, we have individuals who just want to come there. This is a bad time in their life, and they just want to do their time, and they want to go home. They're not trying to get in any trouble. They made a mistake, and they're dealing with their mistake the best way they can.
Right.
They want to read books. They want to write their family, and you're never going to have an issue with them. And then you have the ones on the opposite ends of the spectrum that want to cause trouble, and you deal with it accordingly. However you have to stop whatever issue is going on. But for the most part, the inmates want to do their time
Just get out.
and get out.
Now-
And comparatively speaking, direct supervision is a nice place to be, right? That has
It
some of
is.
the perks.
I mean, you
What
have
they
all-
have what do they have? They have a TV. They have.
You have 2 TVs. I think
Oh.
there's 2 TVs in direct supervision. You have a microwave. You have all kind of.
And you're not locked in your cell. You can get out and walk around.
You have the rec yard right there with you, so you can go out into the rec yard, play basketball. You have the microwave, the facilities to utilize the restroom. Everything is just
Hot water.
That's not bad.
Hot water. That's
hot
a thing
water.
there,
Hot
too,
water,
right?
yeah.
You got hot
That's not a
water.
thing everywhere else.
Correct.
Right.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And the other thing I was kind of curious about is just generally, like, you, of course, have the records of these inmates. You know who they are. Like, did you make a point to try to learn as much as you could about them as far as why they were there, their charges, or did you not?
Not me. I generally stayed away from the charges. I dealt with what I was dealing with. I took you for face value and for what you were giving me, right? I didn't want to create any bias against anyone because there's some charges that are just like, man, I don't want to give you anything, So I
Yeah.
stay away
Right.
from kind of looking at people's charges, and I deal with what they
Yeah.
give me, and However, like if I'm going out to the hospital with an inmate or I have to take them somewhere, I need to look at the charges to see what I'm dealing with, the background
Sure,
of them.
sure,
But inside the facility,
Right.
you got some people who may, but for me, I never dwelled on the charges.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because to you, I mean, your job is just to take care of them, have care, custody, and control.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
that's it.
Regardless of whatever they did.
Right.
Yeah.
So you said you did about a year in direct
I
supervision?
did about a year in direct supervision,
what?
and I ended up in intake receiving.
Oh,
I ended up in intake
that's a happening
receiving.
place.
Yeah.
That's a very
Lots of
happening
action.
place.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
People
But
come in there in a bad mood.
in a bad mood.
So if you, because it's why it's fun, we can talk to different people that work in the jail and get different perspectives, but talk us through a little bit about like that process, what that
Yeah.
looks like coming in the jail.
Coming into jail, so
We don't have a green carpet or anything out there. And
there's no green carpet, but we are welcoming. We're
Yeah.
very welcoming when people get in. We're not, we try not to
And
be.
you insist that they get in, not just
you know,
welcome, but
the sheriff says we're customer service, so we are customer service
and
oriented.
folks
you get 5-star reviews.
We get 5 stars.
yeah, we do have some.
We got the ACA accreditation, so we're
Oh,
we're good,
that's-
man.
we got
yeah,
all the
good.
yeah, absolutely.
Oh, we got those.
We got some fun Google reviews to read. If you ever want to read be entertained, read some Google reviews at the jail. But it's like, hey, listen, they keep coming back. So
Exactly.
Must be doing something right.
and we've got a couple different types of customers we serve because agencies are bringing them. So you've got the Sallyport area where inmates or future inmates are being brought in.
Correct.
That's their arresting officer or private security is bringing them in. But it could vary. It depends.
It could vary, yes.
And
So
they drive into a gated place.
They drive
Yep.
into the gated area. They shut the Sallyport and bring people in and just kind of take it from there. What is that?
Correct.
What does that look like?
So it depends on man, it's multifaceted what they have going on. So they'll come in, and depending upon what the arresting deputy or the transportation officer has, he'll let the intake control person know. So intake control say, hey, I have St. Pete out here with 8 inmates. 6 of them are uncooperative.
Oh,
you know,
boy.
so
Perfect.
Love hearing that.
yeah,
right?
usually that's what happens. But they'll tell us how many are out there, and then we'll just start taking them in as many as we can safely. So and that's how it goes. They come in, they take their picture, their facial recognition, and then we start the process of getting them putting all their information into the computer to get them set up.
Can I ask if they are uncooperative, what is the procedure for getting them in?
So if they're cooperative outside, we'll take a team outside to bring them into the facility. So hopefully they're handcuffed already with the deputies. But, there are times when cuffs are slipped, a hand is out, or they manipulate the cuff some kind of way. So we'll go out there with a team a team of deputies, reposition the handcuffs, and bring them into the facility, whether that be by a wheelchair or we can put them in the wheelchair and wheel them in, or if they'll walk, we can walk them in.
Okay.
And how many deputies are assigned to that process up there?
Oh man, I haven't been up there in a while, but
I mean, like
there's at
ballpark, like 10.
There's at least 6.
Okay.
Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 6. There's like 8, probably 8 or 9 people in that area.
So somebody comes up to the desk and. So if they have property that's with them, right?
They have
that
property.
Comes into you guys. Anything they had on their person, because hopefully the arresting officer took them.
So we take all the property and we go through the property. We inventory the property. We inventory the money, the jewelry, anything that they come in. We separate it, put it up. Any medication that they come in, we ensure that we jot that down. The medical will come up, and they will, inventory the medical,
medicine, prescription, all of that stuff. Yeah.
So they'll get that
Assuming
done.
it's legit.
Correct.
Well, yeah.
We'll take them through the compass machine. After a pass service, take them to the compass machine.
What's that?
That's like an X-ray, right?
Like an X-rayer.
Yeah.
To see if they have anything, they've ingested anything.
So what kind of things can you see? Like
you can see almost
drug baggies
you can see
or
drug
whatever?
baggies, keys.
So it doesn't have to be metal
So,
or
like-
anything. It's just any
Yeah,
object.
just any abnormal object.
Or like when people keister stuff or
Correct.
whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Do you find a lot of stuff like that?
We did.
Yeah.
We did
Oh.
back. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right.
Oh.
So there was this is the Compass, or is that what it's Compass?
Compass.
So that's like the new name. There was a
Secure Pass.
Secure Pass. So I remember when we first got the Secure Pass machine. It wasn't. I think it was Clearwater arrested somebody for a robbery, and they'd swallowed the necklaces or something.
Correct.
And
Yes.
they were-
I think I've seen a
Oh.
picture of that.
Because it doesn't, and I'm sure the new system is the same way. Like it doesn't highlight, say, hey, this is wrong, but you still have to look at it to see if anything looks
Abnormal.
looks
Foreign.
abnormal. And the person did get their necklaces back, I understand.
Correct. Yes.
Eventually.
Eventually.
That sounds messy.
Yeah. So after they go through Secure Pass, then that's when they would move on to like classification, the kind of way.
They'll move on to the processing room, and in the processing room, they'll get fingerprinted. They'll take another group of photos showing any tattoos that they have. They document those, and they'll see medical. They'll see the medical personnel, and then they'll wait to see classifications to get somewhere to stay.
And if you're lucky, you're going to Central, and
Or if you're
direct
lucky, you're
supervision.
going home.
Well, if you're lucky, you're going home. But if you're almost not, yeah.
Concession prize would be Central
With
Division.
Central, yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
When do they get the clothes?
Oh, they get the clothes also in the intake area. So after they get pat searched and compass, they take them into the one of the search rooms, and they'll change.
And
out
that's
their
when they
clothing.
give them and then they get those
orange
universal
clothes.
sandals.
They get the little uni foot.
yeah.
The uni
Below
foot.
my
The
line.
uni foot?
The uni foots. Yeah.
I kind of want a pair of those.
You don't.
I have some.
Like to display, not to wear.
They're so loud. You can't sneak up on anyone.
When Assistant Chief Danzig was Colonel, he brought me a pair of
Oh,
uni
yeah?
feet. I got them. Yeah, they're in my
Okay.
office.
Wow.
Sometimes if the feet need to breathe, I'll just throw those puppies on and shuffle around the office.
Were they
and you have
a
to
new
shuffle.
unused
They,
pair?
yes, they were. Because when he
Okay.
brought them to me, I'm like, these are. He's like, oh yeah, they were still in the original packaging.
Wow.
But I know being in laundry now, they wash. They
They
wash
do.
those.
Yeah.
They reuse them, so it's a hard pass. All right. So, what are some of the nuances of intake? I imagine you've got people that are like, cooperative. Yep, you got me. Let's get over with. And you got people that are obviously not happy to be there because odds are they're probably having one of the worst days of their lives.
This is the worst day of some people. Some people we get that come back and forth, and they
Yeah.
understand the process, and you get them through. And then you have some people that are just emotional, and they're just not. They're not happy to be there, but they're not. You wouldn't call them uncooperative.
Right.
It's just
Yeah.
it's a bad day.
They're
And
just
then
in a mood.
Exactly,
Right.
and then you get the ones who come in who don't want to come in, and you have to bring them in because
Yeah.
so.
Well, do you have any stories about any of the worst ones that you had to bring in?
I'll tell you. So the worst one that I've ever had to bring in, we had a call from outside. So to back up a little bit, there's a control box on the outside of the Sally port, and the deputy will punch it, and the control officer will say, hey, what do you have? And the individual, this deputy, and I it might have been Clearwater, but I'm not sure. So he said, I have a individual, and he's thrown up, and he's in the back of the vehicle. He's in the back of the vehicle, and he's uncooperative. So we go out, thinking throw up. Well, whatever the professional
Yeah.
word for that is.
We'll go with that.
Yeah, that's a good one. So we go out, and he's covered in something, but it's not throw up. He is
Oh,
head to
no.
toe feces.
Oh,
So
I knew
don't-
we'd get to poop eventually.
Oh my God! So I don't
we
know.
always do, Ricky. We
Yeah.
always do.
Yeah.
I don't know what
I
happened.
don't like
to
the
this
way
guy.
you said that
This guy-
at all. Like, I do not like the way. I do not like the tone. I do not like anything about what you just said. Anyway,
But
guys
he is
covered in poop.
and he's extremely uncooperative. He's not like verbal. He's physical and everything.
Oh, wow.
So we go out, and I remember it was me and Sergeant Moten, and now Sergeant Martinez, and Corporal Cordero. And our sergeant at the time, I believe, was Sergeant Richardson, who's a lieutenant now. So we go out, and we immediately smell that this is not what this guy
Not
said it was,
vomit.
Yeah.
right? So
He
we
knew that.
Oh,
he
my
knew.
gosh.
Yeah.
He knew it wasn't
Yeah.
vomit.
That's dirty.
yeah,
That's
it
dirty.
is. Yeah, it is.
Let me go into the low voice. That's dirty. But that's dirty. So we go out, and I'm telling you, we are holding this guy, and he's pulling away from us because we're trying to stop from doing anything else but to get him to the shower.
And
Because-
do you have like full personal protective equipment on or anything?
no, we
tricky?
have our uniform on. We have our.
You got gloves?
We have gloves on.
All you
I'm
have- all
sorry.
you-
Let me get back here. We have gloves on. I'm getting excited. So we have.
Talking about grabbing people's guns.
Yeah,
It was
man.
such a fun
Hey,
day.
man, hey, this is,
Yeah.
this is. So we have gloves on, and
And that's it, just gloves.
That's it.
No
Oh.
mask, no thing. Stuff can be flying
No,
anywhere.
no,
Wow.
nothing. So we take him in. We can't take him to the shower because he's just too uncooperative. So we take him straight in to get a facial recognition, and we're trying to get him through this process so that we can get him.
I'm just imagining this guy with poop all over his
We
face.
can,
It's
we,
all
can we
over.
find
Yeah,
this
that's-
picture, please?
That's Jim. That's Jim. We got him.
Oh my gosh! Are we calling him Jim? Is that his name?
No, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Okay. So
Sounds-
Jim,
yeah.
but no, but it's all over him. So we have happy hands because we're trying not to do anything other than to get him unsecured and get him to another area. But as the nurse was trying to evaluate him, he jumped at the nurse. So we had to stabilize him. And once we stabilized him, feces went everywhere.
On your white shirts.
We went everywhere, and Sergeant Moten got the worst of it, and he hates Sergeant Moten. I'm talking about you now, but he hates. He can't deal with that smell or anything. So
I don't know that there are people that enjoy it.
they don't enjoy it, but you can work. You can, and he can work through it, but he literally he can't handle it, and he went running the other way. He went running it, and it ended up all over my arm and everything. So I had to go and change. And a good deputy always has a change of
clothes.
Uniform.
Right.
So I had another uniform to put on. It showered up a little bit and came back. But that was our worst.
I feel like y'all should just put a hose or something in the sally port.
That's
There
what I was
probably
thinking.
is one in there. There
Yeah.
probably is a holes in there. I'm sure there is.
I mean, I can make the official ask, but I mean, if you just kind of had an area where you could just put them in there and just like one of those nice fancy rain showers, just
that
lock
would be
them in the
nice.
box.
Yeah, that would be
A
nice.
little bit extra pressure.
That would be
Alright.
nice.
Then you don't have to.
This is the place to maybe get it done.
Yeah,
Something
we
like
are
that.
a podcast to get things done.
Yeah.
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 So, but yeah,
Wow.
but the shower area is kind of the same. It's right there in the sally port.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just, we made the decision, let's get him in here and let's get done with this. But that was a horrible one.
So
Oh my
who
God.
does the cleanup then of like either the vehicle or the transport?
We have
van or
inmate
the-
workers. We have
Okay.
inmate workers that are
Okay.
assigned to.
Nice. All right.
That are assigned
He
to
should have been
processing
assigned to
area.
clean his own mess.
Yeah.
He was in
I'm
no
guessing he
condition.
wouldn't though.
No,
Yeah.
you have to.
Oh,
That's
If
like
he's
Probably
gonna-
had some
that's a
issues.
privilege, isn't
He's
it?
going to set you guys up like that.
He
That's
was
not.
he was in no condition.
That's not cool. All right. So after intake, then what?
So after intake, they go to processing and they wait for fingerprinting. They wait to see the medical.
No. Sorry. What do you do after? We already did that. You're good. Where,
So
where'd you
once
go
I
after?
drop them off, after processing.
Yeah.
So I put in to go to training. So I put in, I applied for training, and I end up as a trainer.
Okay. Now,
Okay.
again, pause for context. So our training division, which we'll drag somebody in here eventually
Oh,
for
yeah.
training. Of course, Freddie is a good person to talk to as well. But so we have two basically different teams of trainers that's what they do full time. We have the law enforcement trainers and the corrections trainers.
Correct.
So, and it's another important point for a corrections job. There are opportunities to move around. Just because
Correct.
you're a corrections certified deputy doesn't mean you're going to be working in the jail. So you put in to go to training. Why?
And training was one of the coveted positions at the jail. You know, a lot of guys want to get over there, but I put in to go to training because I have my degree in social sciences. I wanted to be a teacher.
Okay.
So I wanted to be a teacher, but I did a couple of internships at an alternative school and then a high school, and I was like, this is not for me.
You're probably
Low
dealing
voice.
with some of the same
because
kids.
there were kids involved.
Oh, it was tough
Yeah.
dealing with kids, and it wasn't the kids; it was the parents, which is interesting. You know, it was
We
the
got some teacher bonding going on here.
Oh man, the parents were the ones. But yeah, so I did that, and I wanted to go to training because I wanted to teach. I wanted to teach, and I like to talk. So I thought I'd do good over there.
Yeah. So how was that? How was it?
It was amazing. Training was amazing. There's so much that you see a different. You get a different outlook on the agency. You get a broad view of the agency, and not the. I had the small view at the. You don't see how everything kind of works together.
Right.
Because you come in contact with so many people in training, because we're not just training the DDC members. We're also going to PAL and training their staff members with CPR. We're
Right.
also doing the Citizens Academies.
Now, when you come in as a trainer, you've got to get all those training certifications.
Correct.
It's not just like, hey, here's a red shirt. So
Right.
To talk about just briefly, because we could do an entire podcast about that, but
And
just
we
talk
will.
about talk about briefly just the different certifications you have to get and how long, what it takes.
So I think one of the things that helped me was that I knew coming in that I wanted to end up in training. So as soon as I got to the agency, I put myself through the instructor techniques class. So there's an instructor techniques certification that you need before you can start getting all the other ones.
That just teaches you how to talk to people
That's the
in
basic
front of people, right?
That's the basic one. So I got that one first, and then I put myself through the firearms certification. So I got the firearm. So I came in, when I put my application in, I already had instructor technique, general instructor, and I had the firearms cert.
Yeah.
So now I can come in, and they don't have to lose me to go to
the
a class.
Yeah.
And so
and they know how dedicated you are. This is not something you're putting in just because.
Yeah.
it was a strategic move.
Yeah.
It was a strategic move because I knew there were some heavy hitters that are going to want this thing. So I wanted to give myself the best foot forward. And I went to training after 2 years. So I was
Ready to go,
very early in my career. I ended up over in training. So I got those certs, and that's what happens. They put me through the defensive tactics certification.
Because you have to have all of them.
Eventually, you have to get them. You can work under someone else's
direction,
someone else's certification,
Got
but
it.
it's better if you have those. The trainers have theirs.
So you have now. Then, so what certifications do you have?
So
for
I
training?
have the driving cert. I have the general cert. I have firearms. I have defensive tactics. I have the first aid cert. So those are the main ones that you need. Anything else is kind of extra.
And those are not easy to get.
They're not.
So I want to backtrack just a little bit. You said you got the firearm certification, and that's specifically for teaching firearm certification. But as a detention deputy, you guys do get firearms training.
We get firearms training.
I think people don't realize that sometimes. So
Absolutely. The good thing about our agency is so coming to training, you kind of see how the in-services are put together.
Yeah.
And so our defensive tactics and our firearms training, we kind of try to set it up right along with how, it's different, but we do most of the same things that patrol is doing, with the exception of the driving. They may have the driving stuff that they do, but we try to implement all of those things into training.
Okay.
So we get going to other agencies, seeing the in-service that the detention side has.
Yeah.
We are far and above what a lot of agencies are. There are a lot of good agencies, but we really are setting the bar on the training and what the expectation.
And just to kind of clarify on that a little bit further, so you have your Class B uniforms that y'all are wearing on duty, which is the white. You don't have any. Nobody has a gun inside the jail.
Correct. No
but
guns.
When you're wearing
inside.
your Class A's outside, if you're off compound, you've got a gun. You look just like a patrol deputy.
Absolutely.
There's no difference, and has the same training as far as handling.
And so that's why we do a lot of the with firearms. We do a lot of the shoot no shoot scenarios, deadly force decision making, because they do. The sheriff authorized the DDC going to and from home. You can carry your firearm. You can carry your firearm going home as long as it's authorized firearm. You can carry it to and from home.
Right.
So they have to be responsible with those guns, which is why you take that firearm seriously.
Yeah.
So what takes you out of training? You were there for 2 years?
So I want to get promoted. So
Okay.
it's time for me to. So I was in training, I guess 2 or 3 years, and I actually tried to come out of training several times because I wanted to be a corporal. So I applied for the corporal of training, and I think at the time Deputy Seymour got a beautiful pick, good guy, good pick. But I wanted.
Not a beautiful guy though.
He is. He's a
Beautiful guy.
He is.
Yeah.
Seymour's not bad.
It's one of the Chewbaccas we got.
He's Chewbacca. Yeah. But that's my
love
guy.
that guy.
He was a good corporal. But I had aspirations. I knew that at some point I needed to put on corporal, and I needed to get back to the jail. So I put in to. This is a funny story about that. I put in to go back to the jail, and at the time Guardian was starting up, the Guardian program. So I put in to go back to the jail, and at the time it was Major Campbell. And I took my memo to her because I didn't want anyone to think that I was upset about not getting the training spot. Yeah. So I went to her and I said, hey, I didn't want any, misinterpretations on why I'm doing this, but I do have aspirations to be promoted. And I want to go back to the jail as a corporal because they have openings now for corporal. And she told me right there, she said, I see your memo, but I am going to recommend that you stay, but I will present it. So she presented it, and she did recommend that I stay. And she called me back about 2 days later to come to her office, and she says, hey, I did show everyone your memo that you wanted to go, but I need you to stay.
Is that because you were too good at what you did?
Say that again?
You were too good at what you did. They
pound for pound, pound for pound.
You were the best person in training.
Pound for pound, I should be on the Mount Rushmore, pound for pound. Okay. But no, but no,
like all of them, four of you up there.
Exactly. Yeah. But no, at the time,
all Freddie.
But no,
one is CRT, one is honor guard, one is training.
In my most humble opinion. But no, at the time, the Guardian program was new and it was fresh. So we had like 100 Guardians. It was a lot. It was a big thing. So honestly, there's no way I was going to get out of training at that time. Yeah. So I was held up that time, and she called me back in and she said, hey, I am going to keep you here. I understand you want to go, but we need you here. So that was that. And then I tried again, and another program started up. And I think the last time I met with then Colonel Danzig. And Colonel Danzig, you know, I told him about my aspirations, and he said, okay, we'll bring you back to the jail. So I came back as a corporal to the jail.
So did you go above her? You went.
No, I
you
did
went.
not.
You went over there.
No, you know, I use it as.
You said, "Colonel, save me."
No. I definitely wasn't trying to go above. But you know, the open door policy. I wanted advice on.
Clever way to do it.
Yeah, I wanted advice, you know, and who better to tell you what you need to do than the person who was making those decisions at the time, which was Colonel. Colonel
makes
Danzig.
sense.
Yeah,
makes sense. So you go back to the jail. Then how long till you end up getting promoted?
Oh man,
you've had kind of a fast track overall. You're telling me this story, and I'm like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah,
Guardians, that was only a couple years ago.
1819.
Like, you're a lieutenant, so
yeah, I did.
They must agree with that whole pound for pound deal.
No, I don't know if they agree with it, but
you say it often enough, eventually they will.
I think I put myself
speaking into existence.
I think I put myself in good positions. You know, everywhere I went, I tried to excel at whatever I did. You know, I came in with a goal. I came here, I think I was 33 years old, 34. So I had been through all the growing pains of the military. You know, I got in much trouble growing up and in the military. So I've been through those growing pains. And when I came here, my focus was good. So I know what I wanted, and I put together the best strategic plan that I could. And I tried to excel at everything, you know. So
maybe we should point out, we're going to talk about it later, but in addition to putting yourself through all those training things, after 2 years on, you were also CRT and you were also honor guard.
So
right?
within my first year, after you can do all these things after your probationary period. So the probationary period is a year. So after that year, I was CRT and honor guard. I put in for CRT and honor guard and
got them both.
And got them both in that. Right after that year.
So you were shining right out the gate.
Yeah.
Well, I was trying. You know, I had there was a lot of people there that I watched that kind of, that I utilized as mentors, and they kind of pushed me in the right direction. So,
let's talk about promotion. What happened? Did you get the call?
I got the call. I got the call. So I'm working on a Saturday, and we can't have phones in jail. So I'm working on a Saturday, and the position that I had at the time was I was a G escort. So I was the escort for 2F, upper and lower G, but I was a busybody. So I'm always everywhere, right? So you call for an escort, I'm jumping on your call. I'm going to get pick up the person, take them to wherever they're going. And so I finally sit down, and my schedule at the time was 7 to 7, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So I finally sit down to go through some reports or something at about, it may have been 3 p.m. And so I pull the computer up and I look at my email, and it's the sheriff on my email, and he's asking me to give him a call. And it was a cell phone number. So I saw that cell phone number the day before. So I'm looking at this cell phone number. And I'm looking at it. I'm like,
a spam call.
Who is it? Right. So I didn't answer the phone. And
and this is on your desk phone. Or is it on your personal?
No, this is my personal cell
your personal
phone.
stuff.
Yeah, this is my So I got off work. So I worked Friday, Saturday, Sunday this week. So Friday, I saw the call. I was on a break. I saw the call, and whatever. So now when I get off work, that number had called me like 2 more times. So I'm like, man, who is this? But I didn't think anything about it. So
you're like, you think it's your car warranty gone out or whatever.
That was horrible, wasn't it? The warranty thing, it kind of slowed down.
Finally, it did.
It finally slowed down. But so at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, I see the email for me to give the sheriff a call. And I knew I hadn't been in any trouble. So I'm like, okay, this may be it. So I call, and he tells me, that I'm being promoted, and that he's been trying to reach me since yesterday. And I was happy. And then he tells me, hey, make sure you clear your voicemail, because your voicemail is full. And now that you're a supervisor, people may need to call you.
Yikes.
Yeah. So,
yikes.
So that was my funny story. So
awesome.
That was about.
And then you saved his number. Yes.
The number is definitely saved now. The number is saved now.
I've got a special ringtone.
Yeah,
it rings through regardless of where I am or what I'm doing. So if he ever wants to get me, and I'm like at a funeral or something, if he calls me, it's going to make noise.
Absolutely.
I've heard though, like if you are, a deputy, like you better have his number saved. You never know. He could call you.
Yep.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So then what? You get promoted. That like what do you got to go back to work that day? Like you got a couple hours left?
I get promoted and I go back to work and I told no one. I told no one about the promotion. I didn't tell my lieutenant.
Why is that?
Well, you know what?
He's being humble.
I seriously, I was because
Pound for pound, he is the most humble person.
I
Damn,
am.
we're making shirts.
So no, there's a lot of people who are deserving of promotions, and there's a lot of people who are fighting hard to get promoted. And so I didn't want to be the guy to get promoted and then run around. And I figured at some point everyone would figure it out. But I just went back to work. I think we were getting ready for an inspection. So I went back to painting. I had a paintbrush. I was running around painting and escorting and doing everything that I was doing before. So I didn't tell anyone. It's just it's literally that. There's a lot of people
right deserving,
you know. So I didn't want to feel like I was rubbing it in anyone's face.
So what's your first assignment as sergeant?
My first assignment is South Division, maximum security South Division. Night shift. Night shift, absolutely. Yeah, welcome.
Yeah.
No indoctrination.
I'm going to go back to my paintbrush.
Here we go. Yeah, so absolutely. So that was my first assignment. And matter of fact, during that time, I think COVID had just reared its head. So that was an interesting time.
That was scary. We didn't know what was going on then.
It was definitely scary. And then one of the areas I had was Delta Wing, and we housed a lot of the COVID positive inmates on that wing. And so, as you know, then it was scary then because we didn't know what this
was happening.
Yeah, we all thought we were going to die. We just assumed,
Yeah, you had no idea. So that's where I started on Delta Wing. Yeah.
So you're
piece cake.
So it's very complex, and obviously we moved COVID positive inmates or inmates that had been potentially exposed into a specific area. But what other special protocols did you have, and what did that look like?
So we had to wear masks at the time, and then in those pod areas the expectation that we were going inside those pods to do our 30-minute checks. So that was really scary because people were scared. They didn't know this thing was airborne, and now I'm going to have to go into an area with COVID positive inmates, and so people were scared during that time. So I what we did was I had Corporal James at the time. So Corporal James was a corporal, and I pulled Corporal James aside and I said, "Hey, I'm going to do the checks in." I think it was either Delta 3 or Delta 1, one of them. So I'm going to do the checks in Delta Wing. Tell the guys I'll be down here by the 30-minute mark, and I'll do the check because I know everyone's scared.
And usually that's not a sergeant's responsibility. It'd be a deputy that would go
It's
through
not,
it.
but most of the time the sergeants will come down. You do your visits to the areas. But I took that stance that I was going to do that check. So Corporal James said, "Okay, if you're going, I'm going too." So me and Corporal James, we're going in the pod, and next thing we know, we look around and our whole crew is with us. So that's what we did.
Oh, wow.
We all went into the COVID positive pod to do the check.
Nice.
And then after a while, I would go down there and they'll say, "Sorry, get out of here. We got it." So
why do you think that is? Why did you make that decision to do that?
Because I feel like that leadership. That's why you get those stripes and those bars. It's to be a leader. It's something for me to tell somebody to do something, but for them to see me do something. And in our world at the time, we're not on the road dealing with people's, in the dark dealing with these folks, and we don't know what's going on. It's very
a little more
dangerous.
controlled.
It's a little more. We're in a,
Right.
it's still as dangerous, but it's more controlled. But at the time, that was scary for everybody. So I say, if I'm gonna ask you guys to go into this pod, I'm gonna go in here too. And so it was just a respect level that was gained.
That's huge.
It was, yeah.
You're willing to do anything that they do.
Yeah.
Right. You have to put yourself in that situation. So just really quick, a kind of operational question. So how many, as a sergeant in Max, for example, how many deputies do you have?
So
generally, like ballpark.
Oh, you mean as far as how many?
How many are on in your unit? Yeah.
Under my unit, maybe 12, 13.
Okay. So, and when you say come down to do, like, are you physically coming down from somewhere else, or your office is kind of on the wing?
I'm in the office is off wing. So the office is off wing.
Okay.
And I have to travel down to Delta Wing.
Got it. Okay. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what Max is like too. So these are like the worst of the worst in the jail.
Yes. Well, I don't know. I wouldn't say the worst of the worst, but they have the worst charges in the jail. Their charges say that they are definitely the worst of the worst. Yes. But, but just like anywhere else, you have those guys that come in and you don't have any issues with them. And then you have a guy who's just in there on a misdemeanor charge who is a big issue.
Gotcha.
So yes, charge-wise they will be considered.
And that's one person per cell, or?
It's different depending upon the area you're in. So Delta Wing is one person a cell. I believe every and then there's parts of Echo Wing, the female lockdown pod. There's one per cell, but then Echo 1. But everywhere else, you have multiple inmates in a cell.
Yeah, so I mean, just for try to paint the picture a little bit, going from direct supervision where you kind of have a deputy, a kind of podium, open seating area, then like a double level. It kind of sounds like bubble level. A double level dormitory style bunks and stuff. So then this is really more of a much more enclosed space. There's a much smaller common area.
Correct.
But then still 2 levels of individual cells.
Correct.
I just want to make sure I'm thinking of the right place. Okay. That is quite different.
That is quite different.
Definitely my least favorite place to walk through. But
it is. It's tough.
It's something.
It's tough.
So your initial time as sergeant, you're in Max the entire time initially?
I'm in Max.
Because you go back to training at some point.
I do go back to training. So I got another call. This time I had the cell phone number saved.
There you go.
So I got another call from the sheriff and asking was I interested in coming back to the training as a sergeant. And the way he put it was, hey, it's a no-brainer, but it's your decision. Do you want to go back? And I'm like, oh yeah, absolutely. But yes, I got that call and I came back to training as the sergeant, and that was after probably maybe a year and a half.
In Max. But you were so popular when you were in training, so they wanted to keep you there, so they want to bring you back.
Here we go.
The way training is structured, it is a division. So you have a lieutenant that is over training, then there's a corrections sergeant, and then a law enforcement sergeant that oversees those respective deputies. Now they have an administrative sergeant to kind of help.
Where was that when I was there?
I know, right? Everybody, you need a redo or something to help keep up with, because it's a large agency.
Absolutely.
There's a lot going on, and probably the time you came in, they're probably still playing catch up from in-service and things during the pandemic. So it's a busy place.
Training just never stops.
No, it doesn't, because we keep them busy with our stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a teeny tiny piece of it.
Yeah.
We were out till 10:30 last night doing one of our community public education programs. I was feeling sorry for myself because it was 10:30. I wasn't going to get any sleep. And the training guys that were with us then went off to the range to teach the Guardians for another 2 or 3 hours.
Still going.
I didn't have any right to feel sorry for myself.
So besides the obvious, how is that kind of different from when you were in training before?
That was very different. So in training before, I'm with my peers. These are my coworkers. These are my folks. So now I got to come back and I got to supervise these guys. Now
who was the lieutenant at the time? Danzig?
At the time, no, the lieutenant. Well, when I came back, it was Grissinger.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
It was Grissinger, and then Forcade came shortly thereafter. Okay. So I was with Forcade most of the time. So Grissinger and then Forcade.
Okay.
So what made it different?
What made it different?
Anything specific?
Was I actually see now what the sergeant is, the DDC sergeant is responsible for in training, which is each sergeant. But my my fingerprints were on the DDC side, the detention side. But I see that this is a big. This is a big operation, Looking at it from a deputy standpoint, I literally thought that I was going to come back and that I was going to be I would be in the mat room and out at the range teaching still.
That's pretty ambitious of you.
Absolutely. And I did that probably for a couple days and realized that
that ain't it, huh?
This is not going to work.
I mean, I would imagine trainers have big personalities, right? So
absolutely.
Are there clashes out there? How does that?
Well, our training, and if I can back up a little bit, when I saw the scope, the large scale scope, I went up and met with, again, Major Danzig now, because now he's back here. He was back here as a major. And I asked him for advice on how to maneuver my way through this training position. And he said, hey, you know what? If you have questions, ask, because people fail because they don't ask questions. So, and that's what I did. So I would ask people, when I had projects or things that I need to do, I'd ask people, at the time, Captain Danzig, he had been a sergeant, then a lieutenant of training, and then a captain. And then I had Sergeant Luckett, who's Lieutenant Luckett now, that I fed off of those guys, and I took what I could from them. So, and so now the difference, to answer your question, there were, I wouldn't say they're clashes, but, the alpha personality definitely has to be, the alpha dog has to, you have to let folks know who is the pound for pound alpha dog,
And you have the mat room right there.
We have the mat room right. We have the mat room right there. We settle some things in the mat room,
Really?
Yeah, we got some guys.
We don't talk about Fight Club, so yeah.
And listen, these are my guys. You got some strong guys in training now. You got Deuce. They're all corporals now, but you got Deuce, and you have Jimmy Haley. You have Gilmore. You have Van Swearingen. Miss Archibald is there now. Hopefully, I didn't miss any. Rama Santos, but the one who really wanted to come after me was Deputy Bell.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. He wanted to really,
why was that?
Well, it's because he's an old school CRT guy. He was CRT when I think they had flak vest. Really, they were romping, stomping type guy. We're more technique based.
Right.
But if we
a little
need
more
to,
refined now.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So so he really wanted to test. He wanted to test, and he lost in the mat room.
Oh.
He begs to differ, but I'm on the podcast. So
this is the official record.
So this is the official record, So maybe he can come in with D-Bowl and he can kind of clear that up.
I don't know.
But I'm on the podcast, so yeah, I won that one. I definitely won that one. And he outweighed me by at least 100 pounds. So
Wait, what was your? How did you win? What's your technique? Is this stand up strikes or is this ground fighting?
He's the best pound for pound. It doesn't matter.
Thank you. Pound for pound, I can stand. I can go on the ground. But at the time, I was doing a lot of training in jiu-jitsu and Bell.
You do jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
so we have something to talk about.
Yeah, and he was pretty good. So we were on the ground. We were on the ground.
Okay. So what'd you catch him in?
I didn't catch him with anything.
Yes, you did.
He just
Was that like the downward dog? Is that, no, that's yoga. Sorry.
Yeah, that's yoga. I know about that.
Whatever.
I don't know nothing about jiu-jitsu.
He just couldn't handle me. We'll leave it at that.
He just gave up. He just tapped from exhaustion or tapped
he
from
probably was
your
tired.
awesomeness.
He probably was tired. But
I
think people started coming into the mat room, so we had to kind of stop. I think we both were tired, to be honest with you.
You won on points, which isn't the best way to win.
Yeah.
But okay.
Oh, man. Wow. This is good stuff.
Yes.
There's like a Fight Club and training we didn't know about. Now everybody's going to know.
Oh, no.
But nobody talks about it.
No.
Right.
Do you still train jiu-jitsu?
I do.
Where do you train?
So I'm at Gracie Brandon.
Okay.
I'm on the missing persons milk carton right now.
Yeah, I am at Gracie Valley Clearwater too.
Yeah,
so.
I'm on the missing persons. It's just so much going on.
Yeah.
Now that you're a lieutenant.
It's still so much going on.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Support is no joke.
So let's get to that. So did you ever go back to the jail from training, or did you get promoted to lieutenant?
So I got promoted from training to lieutenant.
Okay.
Yeah. So
and did you answer the phone this time?
I did answer the phone, and I was actually going home. I was going home at about 4:00, and I got a call, and I knew that calls were being made, because you always know that when the calls are being, folks aren't supposed to say anything, but somehow it's getting out. So I was on the phone, I believe, with Sergeant Martinez at the time, and I got a call from the 464, and I said, "Man, I got a 461," and he's like, "Oh," and so I answered, and it's the sheriff, and I was promoted again from there, from training.
And then your assignment, because we're talking what, a year and a half ago? 2 years ago? I totally lost track of time here, but it's...
So 2022, you were the first Meet the Stars feature that we did, and you were a sergeant.
Okay.
Right.
So,
and it wasn't long after that before I was like...
Right.
So you go straight to support then?
I go straight to support. Let's
talk about it. What is your day-to-day? What do you do?
Wow. So in support... I have the program services area, who's the supervisor there is Ramona Schaefer. And we have 21 individuals in that group, 18 social workers, admin assistants, and program coordinators. I have the chaplain's office, and that's a team of about five or six. I have Allied transportation again. Now the contract.
Full circle.
I have
Right.
the Allied, and that's that's Senior Chaplain Hanson over the chaplain's office, and then I have Allied Security contract, and they are at Safe Harbor, they're at Visitation, they're at Juvenile Assessment Center, and then we deal with all the internal transport and the external transport, picking inmates up, taking them to doctor's appointments, taking them back and forth from the different jail and prison facilities. And that's Sergeant Caroline Franjezovic. And then I have the security specialist, which is one of the newest units. And I want to give them a shout out for the security specialists, because they're one of the little known areas
Of the agency.
but those guys really do a good job. They really they love being a part of the agencies, and they're not well known. So I'll give them.
So what is their role exactly?
So they deal with they're at they man checkpoint, so they man the entrance to the jail facility, and they're at the hospital. So their main duty is to
they stay with the inmate.
secure the inmates at the hospital.
Okay.
Yeah,
So where you otherwise would have had to send a deputy out
you have
to
to
stay
send
with
a
the
deputy,
inmate.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And then they are also in the lobby area, the controlling the mag area.
Okay.
So we have them, and that's Sergeant Moten. Sergeant Moten is the security specialist sergeant. I have CRT and honor guard, and that's
Of course.
that's Corporal Kilpatrick. Corporal Kilpatrick is awesome. Excuse me. He's awesome at what he does with honor guard and the CR correctional response team, and that's my area.
That's it.
That's my area.
Just a couple things.
Yeah, little stuff.
We're going to dive into the corrections response team and honor guard, but first I want to go back and talk about some of the programs and things that you have for inmates, because
there's a lot going on
a
there
common
for them.
question that we get on our end of things is people want to ask about services and things we have to help kind of rehabilitate inmates and things like that. And while we do have some of those things, people also need to realize that, the average length of stay at the jail is like 32 days.
Correct.
Right. So
Right.
you're pretty limited with what you can do. A lot of the rehabilitation and those transformative type programs are in the state prison system.
Right,
But
right.
Just briefly, just touch on some of the different programs that y'all are facilitating for inmates.
One of the bigger ones that we just got our Manny Wolf, who was the lead social worker. He just got us the batterers intervention certificate, and our jail is probably I believe is the first jail facility with that batterers intervention certificate. So we have that now, and we have many of our social workers are going through to get the cert so that they can teach that class, and that was a huge accomplishment for the program services. They have NA, AANA. We have a Red 10, which is for our female inmates, and it teaches them social skills. It's a big umbrella that they're teaching the inmates different things, to rehabilitate and teaching them skills so that when they get out, they can apply them in positive ways.
So how are those programs voluntary for the inmates, I would assume?
Those programs are voluntary.
Okay.
They
Even
can
the
sign-
batterers?
all of that is voluntary. They have to sign up for it, and they are vetted for the program. Because we don't want, you got to think the jail. A lot of the inmates have time to kind of come up with different ways to see different people that they haven't seen in so long.
Stay
so
busy,
they can utilize
change the scenery.
And they can utilize those programs just to come in and
Mess around.
and not take it seriously.
Right.
So we are actively looking and observing while these classes are going on,
Yeah.
and we vet the individuals for the class, and that's how we do it.
Now, are you looking, or can any inmate do it, or is it just inmates that are sentenced? So like,
It's mostly the sentenced
Okay,
inmates. Yes,
right.
the sentenced inmates.
because you get one that's like, oh, they're only going to be here
Correct.
for.
And the big one for me that I love that we do is the GED program. That and we hold graduate. We just had our first graduation since COVID of one of the juveniles graduated recently, and we have adult GED classes. But those are the one I really like those to see the GED. It goes a long way. That education,
Sure.
that
Yeah.
education is
And the fact
big.
that they're trying to put the work in to get
Absolutely.
back on the right
Yeah.
track.
Yeah.
And they get something tangible.
Correct, that they can
Yeah.
utilize and be proud of.
Yeah.
So
All right. Well, What do you like to talk about more? We'll start with that. Corrections response team or honor guard? Let's go.
Oh, no. Are we going to make him choose a favorite?
Or you save the best for last, like dessert. Which one of those two is dessert?
Yeah.
I can't
no
do
pressure.
it.
No pressure.
I can't do
Let's
it.
start with honor guard because you're going to get emotional. And let's get that out of the way.
Yeah, let's make him emotional.
I'm trying
All
not
right.
to. Yeah.
No one has cried on the podcast yet. But
No, I'm not going to cry.
okay. You're
Your voice cracked a little bit.
It's already starting. It's
I'm not going to cry.
And then you're going to have to sing.
Oh,
No, we're not
man.
gonna do
No.
We're not doing. We have the microphone. He's not
We
going to
can't
sing.
scare people off.
Thank you.
Laura, we can't.
Okay.
Low voice. Thank you,
Yeah,
Ricky.
yeah, you're
Okay.
welcome.
I don't know. Did he just insult you?
No.
It's not what it was intended. I'm trying to save
Thank
him.
you for your help, Ricky.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Best pound for pound singer in the anyway.
No, he is not best. He admitted he is not best.
I'm
pound
not the
for
best pound for
singer.
pound.
He is like number 5.
I'm number 5.
Number 5.
I'm
Yeah.
the one. I'm the willing one. That's willing to.
Pound for pound, he has the least stage fright of any of the
That's
singers.
what it is.
There it
Pound
is.
for pound.
There
In
it
my
is.
most humble opinion, I have the least amount of stage fright.
There it is. All right.
Deputy
so
Toes is coming up pretty quick. Deputy Toes.
That's the
is
one?
Pretty good.
All right.
Mhm.
We're going to have to, we got to get them.
Okay.
Got to get them going,
Okay.
singing something. All right. Well, you know what? Yeah.
We
honor
can have a
guard.
musical episode, like that Buffy episode. I'm dating myself. Okay.
56 the musical.
Yeah.
All right, so
I will be
honor guard.
absent.
Obviously, it sounds pretty obvious, but there's a lot of parts and pieces to it. I mean, these are the members that are out there for a variety of things. We send them out for various ceremonies. They, of course, have a tremendously important role with a line of duty death. Just talk about honor guard, how it's structured, and what your role is with honor guard.
So my role, I have 3 instructors with the honor guard, and that's Deputy Corporal now, Corporal Deuce, Corporal James, and Corporal Kilpatrick. 4, I'm sorry, and Sergeant Etheridge. So those are they control the day-to-day training because I can't be there for the training aspect of honor guard. So I rely on them to make sure that we get so we set up the training. We have our early morning meetings, our 6:30 meetings.
Woof.
Oh yeah. Discipline. So we have our 6:30 meeting, and we go through what the training is going to be the week before. So the week before we get together, we go over what the training is going to be, the objectives of training, and they pull it all together. If I can make it, I'll come. I'll come and I'll join in. But that's how we structure our training. So I have those 4 individuals, excellent trainers, and then we have 25 members of the honor guard.
And that's both corrections and law enforcement
That's
certified
both corrections
members.
and law enforcement certified members, yes.
So talk about, I don't even know where to start. I have so many questions. Obviously, it's an incredible thing to watch, the honor guard, because it doesn't matter whether you're presenting colors at a promotion ceremony or doing a funeral. There's the same level of precision and that you can visibly see.
Right.
So I guess what kind of person are you looking for honor guard?
So honor guard, and I always tell these guys, and Corporal James, he always gets mad at me, but it's voluntary, so we try to keep it light on training, and he does not believe in keeping it light in training. But we're looking for, a willingness to selflessness, a willingness to, even though it's voluntary, there are expectations that we have to hold you accountable for, because we do a lot of events. I mean, we do over probably 100 events yearly. It's a lot, So, or we get the request, whether we do, and we'll do the event. Is it? No, wait. I think. Let me start over. So I'll go back to the beginning. So we're looking for the selflessness. We're looking for discipline. Although it's voluntary, there is an expectation that has to be met, because we do a lot. We do a lot of. I won't put a number on it because I don't want to be wrong, but we do a lot of events yearly, and with 25 members, it gets rough, and if the same people are doing those events and you're just on the team, to say you're on the honor guard team, then the conversation will have to be had. So we let everyone know that, hey, the expectation is that you will make yourself available.
Yeah.
Even though we understand families. We're not trying to cause a rift or drive a wedge in the family structure, but there is an expectation.
Everybody's got to carry their weight.
Everybody has to carry their weight because it's a big deal. The honor guard is
big commitment.
The commitment.
How long does it take from the day you apply and walk in and say I want to be a part of this until you're out there working as a part of the team? Like
you're going. So we have an academy now. We did our first multi jurisdiction academy last year. And right after that academy, we're putting you to work. We are putting you out there. If we have once you get your uniform, we're putting you out there. So it's a quick transition. There's no time because we get to each event about 2 hours before. So we run through everything beforehand. So even if you're the newest member, if I'm just focusing on presenting colors or posting colors or whatever it may be, in 2 hours, if I can't get you to where you need to be, you look sufficient, then
you getting benched.
Exactly.
Presenting and posting colors, is that pretty much the is that the standard? Is that that's everybody? That's what you start with, right? That's kind of the bread and butter.
That's kind of the bread, definitely the bread and butter of what we do, presenting and posting colors.
What's the most complex thing that the honor guard does?
Oh man, the most complex would be any type of probably funeral service, and then especially when you get into a line of duty. Death funeral, that is definitely
because obviously you guys are going all over the state sometimes to show support for those, but we made it 109 years in our history before we lost Deputy Magley in 2021, and I was intimately involved in the funeral planning and all that stuff, and it was truly. I mean, I knew you guys were special. I knew that. I never doubted that, but seeing the amount of effort and planning and just meticulous, I mean, every step, everything that went into that for days leading up to it, because I knew I worked about 14 days straight, and I know y'all did too.
Absolutely.
It's just really incredible because there's so many different steps to that, which was very eye-opening. So how is that, rhetorical question really, but what was that like for you all?
That was tough.
Yeah. Because for you guys, I mean, you do it. It's all about the honor and that. But then when you guys are traveling a lot. But when it hits home, that's a totally different ballgame, and you want to make sure you're hitting that level of perfection that you easily do other times.
Yeah, that was probably the toughest time I've ever had here at the agency.
I gotcha. Because it was just an unprecedented thing for all of us, but the precision at which you do the things you do and adapt. We were there, of course, capturing a lot of it and what y'all were doing, but probably the highest amount of stress that I've ever been in my life is graveside, watching you guys do your thing to get the casket where it needs to be, because these guys are athletes. They're having to balance on this little piece of wood to get Deputy Magley positioned properly. I'm just like, I can't even watch. It was fascinating to watch, but you guys are just so adaptable and incredible at what you do.
We practice that so many. I mean, we put in hours. I mean,
you do practice for funerals and hope you never have to do them, but
we do. But when those happen, of course, we get the agency supports us, and the shifts and the division commanders and of course the roadside commanders. We get so much support that there was no pressure on any of the honor guard members to get the time off, because we want to do it right. So those guys literally practice almost every day for hours. It wasn't so doing the all of that stuff. It became it was instinctual. There was no thought. You didn't have to think. It was just time. Yeah. By the time.
And people don't realize that from the moment that the incident occurs, that there is a member of the honor guard with them at all times.
There's a member there, and I remember for our last one,
Deputy
Hardwick. I was in Polk County, so I was in Polk County at the National Innovation Academy in Polk County. It was an 8-week training. And so the hurricane was coming through. So they had just released us from the school, and the incident happened. So it's about whatever time it is when we get the call, honor guard to and we get 100%. So when that call goes out for Deputy Magley and for Deputy Hardwick, we get 100% response because we're going to meet. We met them both at the ME's office, and we're going to stay there until until the burial. So I go, and I don't know why I still don't know why I picked up Corporal Kirkpatrick, but I was home. And it was early in the morning, but I go and pick him up, and we're on a little Ford Focus. And I think I said this before during when we spoke. But I hope the statute of limitations has.
Yeah, it's up. We're good.
I think it's an exceptional
I think Ricky
case.
can get me out of it. I think you got me.
I got
Okay. So we're in a Ford Focus, and we don't have. There's not lights all around the Ford Focus. There's literally a visor light.
It's a tiny little
Ricky
red and
has
blue
one of
lights.
those.
I got one. I've used it for the same reason.
So we're on the Howard Franklin. I have Corporal Kirkpatrick is driving because I'm sending out messages and I'm getting people, in place.
Probably a Fusion, right? Not a Focus. A Fusion.
Fusion.
Yeah,
the Ford Fusion. That's what it is. Yeah,
there it is.
Ford Fusion. And so, the Howard Franklin is backed up because they're still looking for the individual. So it's backed up. So I said, KP, we got to get to the ME's office. So we plug in the the visor light.
Yeah.
And
Flip it down and we're going.
And
down.
I'm saying, go left. And he's like, this isn't going to work. I'm saying, go left, go right. He said, they aren't moving.
Yeah.
But finally, we get a clear path and we can shoot. We shoot through.
Got over there.
Yeah, we got over here. But, that's how serious we take this thing.
Absolutely.
I was willing to, get us in a little trouble.
They gave you the lights.
Yeah.
For a reason.
yeah.
Nobody's
You
going to
can
get
use
in
them.
trouble for
I
that.
think we would have been
Nope,
okay.
nobody's
yeah.
going to get in trouble for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
What other nuances about honor guard do you think that the people may not realize? Anything?
Well, I don't think, like we talked about before, the work that goes into, us, the performance that we're doing on any given day. Honor guard is rough. Honor guard is tough. It is because, I go out and I sing the national anthem at different places. And I had two instances where we did Tarpon. We do the Tarpon memorial for deputy conduct yearly.
Officer conduct.
Officer conduct yearly. And it's just something else. You get up there, and this particular one, I'm standing right in front of his family, and I'm doing the national anthem, and I totally got choked up, and I had to stop because, and I usually try not to look at anybody. I'm usually looking over everybody's head, but they were literally right there, and my tear ducts are,
You seem like an emotional fella.
Yeah, well, not really now.
Pound for pound.
The most emotional, but no, not really. It depends on the stuff like that. It gets me.
Yeah,
it hits me because I think about I have 4 daughters, so I think about them. And that was hard. And then one time I choked on a cough drop.
Oh.
At singing at the national anthem, and I usually keep a lozenge or something in my mouth. But I put it under my tongue, and I remember it was then Chief Joel, and he has, hey, what happened? And I said, I choked on a cough drop. So every time I did an event thereafter, he would come up and he'd say, hey, you don't have a cough drop.
Oh my goodness.
That's awesome.
Well, one thing that I found really impressive, I wasn't in PR with Magley, but for Hartwick, me and Brennan went to the funeral home where when they transported him, and we went inside, and because we were filming, and just watching honor guard do I'm not sure, I can't recall what the name is, like when you switch, like it's 3 people and then you switch. Does that make sense?
Like the changing of the guards.
Is that what it is? Changing of the guards? I'm sorry.
Casket watch.
Casket watch, yes.
Yeah, where there's 2 on the side.
Right.
And and that was just incredible to just watch. And how often does that happen? I think it seemed like every 15 minutes maybe.
We structure the time, so it just depends.
Yeah.
Now, you can get stuck up there. So that's one of the things that people don't know about the honor guard. So it depends, because depending on where you are, especially during a funeral, there are some pastors that don't want you to change while they're
speaking.
So you can get up, and they always promise The pastor's always, I'm going to be 10 minutes. They're
And
never
it's
10
never
minutes.
10 minutes.
hours
Oh,
later.
no.
Yeah.
It's never 10 minutes. So we have members that have to stay there, and they have to deal with it until we can come get them.
And also that emotional part, like you guys have to keep your composure, and you're dealing with something that's so emotional. Like,
how do you do that?
And even seeing that, you're getting emotional here, but in that moment you can't.
Yeah, in the moment.
And that's when it's happening. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's for the family. At that
Right.
at that time, you're so locked in, and you've trained so much, and you know that if I break down here, they're not getting
The respect,
to me
and
the honor. And people can, but it doesn't mean that you can't break down during those type of things. But I want them to get the full honor. It's their time to mourn their loved one.
Yeah.
I can deal with it in my own way later when when or if it happens. But at that moment in time, you just want to make sure that you're foundationally strong at that point for their family.
I like that though. It's their time because we had never, as I said, been through something like that, and we all were just focused on the job,
Right.
and that definitely helps.
Yeah, the sense of duty. Like,
Right.
this is what
Absolutely.
I'm going to do for him.
Right. So,
Yeah.
and again, incredible work. And for our listeners,
For sure.
if you ever want to see the Honor Guard in action, every year our annual law enforcement memorial here at the
That's a rough
Sheriff's
one, too.
Administration Building. It is a
Yeah, I
rough
bet.
one.
That's a rough one.
But that one, it's warm, and I'm sweating looking at you guys, and I'm sweating myself. But,
Oh, yeah.
But if you want to see the Honor Guard really put themselves through their paces, that's the event for it. So.
And you got to think. I don't want to. You have to think about our foundation of when I was here. The Rodney Davis, who was the Honor Guard
Hot
commander
Rod.
before me, Rodney Davis, and then Lieutenant Robert Turner were before me, and they did a real good job of ensuring that the Honor Guard was looked at in a good light by everybody, the community and everyone. So they did a good job building the foundation, and I just hope to continue with that until the next person comes along to take my spot. So
I mean, and the fact that we're holding multi-jurisdictional academies and training other honor guards is a clue. I think we're headed on the right
I think
direction.
we're headed the right way.
Yeah.
I think we're headed in the right direction.
Yeah.
All right, so Corrections Response Team, CRT, your
I won't get emotional
your
about
other
this.
baby. Yeah, you're just ready to.
the SWAT of the jail, or
It's a
is
SWAT
that
of the jail. Yeah.
So,
or is SWAT the CRT of the road?
No, it depends on who you ask.
Well, we're asking you. Yeah,
It depends on who you ask.
I'll ask T-Bolt next time.
I have a great respect for SWAT. With CRT, back when Jason Barrett was the SWAT commander, they help out CRT a lot because we do a lot of high-risk transports. We do a lot of transports throughout the county, and they willingly, took us out to show us different tactics, how to make sure we keep ourselves protected. And they were serious about it, and that's when we kind of, the bond grew. Jason Barrett and now Brian Debo, who's, willing to sacrifice to help us out also. But yeah, they are the CRT of the road.
That was smooth.
Praise. Some shade.
So the Corrections Response Team, though, I guess the easiest way to summarize, just tell me if I'm wrong, then we can move on, is essentially, when you have individuals in the jail that are being extremely disruptive, a riot situation, or something as simple as somebody saying, I'm not going where you want me to go, that's when the Corrections Response Team is. And it's similar to SWAT in that CRT members have other posts, obviously, at the jail, and they're
It's a
activated.
call-out position.
It's a call-out position. And they respond. But talk a little bit, I guess my version is always that, is another one of those things where it's all about the sound of the appearance, because I remember the first time I ever saw the Corrections Response Team. I was doing a jail tour when I first started, and there's a demonstration that we do for our Sheriff Citizens Academy program, and they come stomping around the corner. I'm like, I don't care. I will do whatever you want me to do. I do not want to see those guys.
Oh, yeah.
So just talk a little bit about of the role, the training, and all that good stuff.
So the Correction Response Team, we have an 80-hour academy that we put the response team members through, and we deal with it. It's morphed now. So prior to now, we did a lot of cell extractions. Now most of our call outs are for high risk transports. So we train in high-risk transports, driving. You came out to a driving training that we had.
Yeah, that was very enlightening.
When I came on the team, I wanted to kind of all of our training has been kind of the same. We do cell extractions, we do riot training, disturbance training, and we do some HRT, but we never kind of got with training to kind of do an active. What if we're out and we need to respond to an active assailant or anything, So
if you're having the uniform, people are going to be looking to you.
Absolutely.
Whatever the situation is, yeah.
Yeah, so
That's
I reached out to the trainers, and this year we did some building. We called it building clearing, but it wasn't really. It was moving, how to move with a weapon, because we don't have. That's not our skill set, you know. Yeah. But the expectation is, hey, you better know how to maneuver yourself with a weapon in your hand through populated areas. So the training unit, the law enforcement side, they developed a program for us, and they took both. We have a Alpha team and a Bravo team, and they took us through that training, and it was awesome. The guys loved it. Training. They were very accommodating. So I give them guys a Corporal Segura kind of set it up for us, and Lieutenant Harvey agreed, and it was a good training. But we do it all. We do it all. Yeah.
So obviously your most common call, or if you will, or call out is going to be probably for a cell extraction, an uncooperative inmate. So just sort of talk us through what that looks like. So
we have 4, 5, 6 members on the extraction team. So we have team member 1 through 4, and they're on the actual lineup, that will go hands on with the inmate. And then we have a video person. We call them the EQV. And then we have the team leader, who is kind of controlling
calling the shots.
Calling the shots, controlling, ensuring that everyone is safe, everyone is in the right positions. And the coolest thing is now we have body cam. So before,
that's new,
before we videotape everything. So we had an old handheld camera,
winding it up,
Yeah, it did. That's what it felt like. SD cards, and Corporal Kilpatrick would get mad at me because I kept losing the SD card, and I would find it mysteriously and blame somebody else for it. But now we're right on the body cam, and it's really working out well. But EQV and the team leader has the body cam. Everyone else, they go hands on. So everyone is responsible for an area on the body. And I always tell these guys during training, if your body can't control one person's arm, then we have to have a conversation. So we're there so that it's always the least amount of force necessary. With 4 individuals on one person, we should be able to deal with that without causing a bunch of turmoil. That's why it's for the safety of both staff and the inmates. So,
And you guys are all padded up. You have helmets.
We're all padded up. We have
elbows,
helmets.
I was going to say, like,
Yes.
the layman's perspective on this is just, just if I can paint the picture, you've got, just imagine a cell door with an uncooperative inmate.
And he could be just not coming out, or he could have gotten a
Or
weapon
saying,
and be threatening his own life.
I don't want to go to court today, whatever.
Right.
And you guys just stack up on the door. The guy in the back is forcing everybody against the door. The door pops open, and you guys, it is not a violent thing.
Yeah. Right.
It is not like
But there's
a
still
dog
like
pile.
700 pounds of people going in there.
There is, you are absolutely going with them. The craziest thing is when y'all do your coordinated tap and cross thing and
It's
wrap
beautiful.
this person
It's
up
like
like
a
a
work of
pretzel.
art.
It is.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
And you're not harming them at all. You're you just flip them over and then you're restraining them, and then you carry them like luggage.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
We are a hidden gem.
You really
The
are.
CRT, Colonel Carey has a hidden gem.
It's something.
And we're well supported, which is the good thing. We're well supported by our chain of command.
Now, you don't break nearly as much as SWAT does.
Yeah.
I don't know. I bet
They're running over Dunkin' Donuts signs.
See?
They shut down a whole hotel. I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm not picking sides. I'm just saying. I do not nearly hear as much about.
See, you have a full picture purview of the agency, and yes, we're more cost efficient.
Yeah. Their SWAT stuff is pretty expensive, but it's also really cool.
Tell me about the
right.
SWAT school. So
I lasted one day.
So why were you in the SWAT school anyway? Just to show that.
Literally, the way it seemed is I snuck in the SWAT school.
Because usually it's
DEC
just
member.
the patrol side.
Yeah, because I got in
DEC.
trouble right after that. Right after that, I was in the Major
for
Campbell's
going to the
office.
SWAT school?
And she was asking me what I was doing there. But I think they hurt me on purpose.
What happened? What happened?
So we went on a run, and someone tripped over my leg, and I hurt my shoulder.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Red card. God.
Yeah, red card. But when you hear others tell the story, they like to think that I bowed out.
That's
in
how
the first day.
He told it.
It doesn't have. Well,
he said you had it, and then you just rang the bell.
No,
so the ringing the bell is a symbol.
They made me ring the bell, but I'll ring it. That was the worst day of my life. That was humbling. It was worse.
What other things did they do to you before that?
Well, this is the thing. When you're talking about physical, and you guys have heard me talk, I really talk like this, like pound for pound. When you're talking about physical things, I've never had an issue with the physical aspect of anything. So when I did hurt my shoulder, that hurt me because I had to admit that, hey, I got to bow out, and that's how it went.
Yikes.
But
Okay.
Now we know.
yeah,
We're going to pick this back up in the next episode. for sure.
Oh,
pick it up. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
we
yeah.
got it.
There's going to be a throwback.
So CRT is just a tremendous asset. You guys have also some different weapons, right? So there's still no lethal weapons you guys have, but talk a little bit about some of the weapons that you
So I
have.
would say our main, I don't even know if I call it a weapon, but our main piece of equipment is an emergency response belt. And that emergency response belt literally acts as, it cloaks into whatever we need it for. So the members usually go into we can wrap an arm with it. We can wrap up the inmate to carry them from point A to point B. So we have the emergency response belt. Of course, we already talked about the helmets and the vests. We have the pepper ball.
Yeah.
Talk
That's what I'm talking about when I say weapon, pepper ball.
We have the pepper ball gun, and it's shooting pepper ball. It's shooting
like OC, like
OC, OC in a powder form.
And you're not aiming at the inmates per se. You're aiming perhaps above them, so
Right.
it'll
It's
come
just
down.
a delivery device.
Right.
Yeah.
Delivery device, yeah. And we don't normally we won't make contact with the inmate with it. We're just trying to get them to.
And y'all really don't want to use it either, because after you do, then you guys got to
Then
go
we
in there.
have to go in there, absolutely. So we try to stay. Depending on who the team leader is, he may threaten. Do not, or who the senior member is on that lineup. Do not, by any circumstance,
Use that
shoot that thing. Yeah, right.
That's the last thing we want to do.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. But no, we train in it. We train in the gas mask. We train, in those elements. So the expectation is that if they do shoot it and we're going in, we got to go in and take care of business.
And you have some other launchers and stuff for like a riot situation.
Yeah,
right?
we have different launchers. We have the 40 mic launcher, and another thing, SWAT, they are very willing to let us test out their different launchers and equipment, and just to see if it's something that we would want to utilize. So we have a good working relationship with those guys.
And the 40
until now, you did.
Oh yeah,
we did. So now the 40 millimeter cannon, though, you guys can use different types of things, right? You can use. Do you do like the foam baton?
We have
well?
foam baton. We have all kind of different things. We have
which is essentially just a giant bullet with a rubber tip on it that
Absolutely.
I do not want to be hit with at all.
So it's a less than lethal.
It's a less than lethal.
Yeah.
And it's not an impact. We're not. The foam one we can impact. But then we have some other ones.
That's going to get somebody's attention.
Yeah, we have the other ones that are just clearing space so that we can.
And then you
have
smoke and stuff with it too, whatever.
Yeah, we have a lot of that.
But these are used in extreme circumstances. This is like if there's a
Extreme.
riot
Different
or
riot,
someone's being
yeah.
held
And
hostage.
just like you see on TV.
We haven't had a riot at our jail, have we?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sorry.
Jesus, Ashley.
Okay.
But we train for those.
We're so trained. It's not
We're
going to happen.
trained for
Yeah.
those.
Stop saying that.
Now, am I thinking about something else, or don't you guys crank some music when you're getting ready in there? Is that a thing?
Oh.
We now have.
They have a theme song.
We definitely have music. We have a
Playlist?
We have a playlist. We have a different playlist.
But like when y'all are
suiting,
suiting up, like
it depends on who's in. It depends on what
what's
individuals are going in on the call.
What might be on a CRT playlist when y'all are
Well,
getting ready?
the playlist is mainly for training. So when we're going for an extraction, usually how that works is we're putting the plan together. So we're looking at the area. We have the the Bosch the camera up to see what the individuals are doing. We're making sure we have all the correct equipment. We're making sure everyone knows what they're supposed to do. We go over the tactic before we go. If we have time, we'll go over going over doing the different tactics on someone so that we make sure we know what we're doing to get focused. So mostly the music is for training.
Right. It's so cool to see. We should do more.
Can we like put in an audio of the stomp?
Yeah. I'm sure Brandon's got some of the stomp. Pause for the stomp.
Team, move!
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty intimidating, and that's the goal. I mean, again, layman sees it like, oh, that's, but you also say, I don't want to. I mean, in the same way, really, that SWAT. SWAT doesn't want to use the equipment. They don't want to use the armored vehicle. A lot of times, they park the armored vehicle in the driveway, and they're
Someone
like,
sees that
coming out, good.
Yeah.
So that's the goal, is just kind of deterring it.
And the acoustics of the jail are just so perfect for that because you can hear it everywhere.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It is.
That even when you guys are doing that, it's so calm and it's controlled.
It's controlled.
I mean, like the person may not be, but everything that CRT is doing is calm. It's controlled. It's not rushed. It's very it's really neat to see.
Yeah, you're not being like brutes and bullies. You're going in there in a very precise way to keep the inmate from getting hurt.
And that's what we're training against. Yeah. We're training against being brutes and bullies.
And they're hitting you. The inmate's hitting you.
They're trying to.
Yeah.
They're trying.
So you train like extracting
so what we
other
usually do
deputies
is during training we put our bigger deputies inside the cell, and that's when we really try to focus and see who the alpha dog of the CRT.
There it is.
Okay.
Yeah, they really take pride.
Alert, is it you?
Pound for pound, I have to be ranked as one of the best CRT members.
A little bit of humbleness there. One of.
Oh yeah. And if you talk to
in the world,
if you talk to corporate, I mean, this is how it gets sometimes. This is a long time ago, so I know the statute of limitations have ran out on this one. But during this time, Corporal Andrews, he was a Division 1 or 2 linebacker. So Andrews is a big guy. And when he first came out to the corrections response team, he thought he was the tough guy. So he and I went back to back like rams. He stood in the cell, I stood outside the cell, and here we go, boom, twice. And I think my back is still, don't tell him this, but I think my back is still jacked up from that. But the statutes of limitation, we don't do that anymore.
Right.
I definitely don't allow that, but back then we definitely used to try to prove who is the toughest guy.
Because CRT started when? It hasn't been around as long as SWAT per se. I mean,
I probably should know that.
31 years ago.
Is it 30? Yeah, we hit 30 years last year.
So 31 years ago, and when it initially started, it really, you guys sort of, as I understand it anyway, from reading some of Laura's articles and hearing from presentations, it was really a lot of hand-me-down. It wasn't really specialized equipment. You guys, CRT kind of made do with what they have.
Oh, yeah.
But now you guys are getting body cams, top equipment.
We're getting hooked up.
Ready to go.
Thank you, Major Garrett, and thank you, Colonel Carey.
Sure, yeah.
But and Captain Kinzel. But we are definitely well taken care of. And we're so well taken care of that we make jokes about it now. You know, one of the things during our budget last year, we were going through the budget, and Corporal Kilpatrick stopped the colonel and said, "Hey, Colonel, we need a fleet of black vehicles for the correction response team." And he was listening, and he's like,
"That would look sharp."
And so he looks and he says, "KP, it's too early in the morning." It's like 7:30 in the morning. He's like, it's too early in the morning. But yeah, no, we were happy because we asked for certain things and we were getting those things, and their needs and our needs are being met. And I'm always asking for something. I'm always trying to justify something, something new. So they know the game that I'm playing. But you
guys have showed your worth, and they're throwing whatever you need at you.
Yeah, so we're trying.
We got the Shiwis. I don't know if we can get a fleet of black Tahoes.
I don't know if we can get the black Tahoes.
Hey, if you can.
We'll try. It's out there now.
I know where we can find one black Tahoe.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but
How about a black Suburban?
That'd be beautiful. So we did a lot. The last when I got here, one of the things I wanted to do was we're hidden. We're so hidden. Nobody really knows about CRT. So we do a lot of things like Ride and Run with the Stars. We came with our own little Christmas Santa Claus CRT shirt. We ran as a group.
Yeah.
We did
that was great. I remember that was hilarious.
The toy share, we did that. It's just to get us out there so that the agency knows that we're probably the most widely used specialized unit in the agency.
Yeah,
I know we had over 100 call outs last year. That's with cell extractions and high risk transports.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to fight with you on that one.
SWAT had like 2.
I'm not going to talk about them. I don't know their numbers. I don't know. I definitely don't know. I don't keep up with what their numbers are. But Debo can speak to that.
Okay, we will clarify that.
We're going to get him
next
in here.
month.
Yeah.
We're going to get him in here.
But we got to talk about the high risk transports.
Yes.
It's so interesting. Like
Right.
what that is. People don't. That was so like eye opening.
And it's happening and nobody knows it.
Exactly.
Nobody knows it.
Which is the point. Nobody should know it.
Right,
Yeah.
that's true.
Right.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of high profile inmates, whether that be folks from different cartels or biker gang units or gangs, period. Or, if you've been on it, if your case is widely known in the community or on TV, we'll treat it as a high risk transport. Or, if you're just one of those inmates who is never having a good day and you're not gonna cooperate and you have to go to the hospital or you have to go to a different facility, we call that a high risk transport. So we dress out. We have our standard equipment, vests. We have our weapons that we take. We have individuals who are certified with the long guns, and we go out and we do the high risk transport.
But what you're protecting the inmate. You're like potentially somebody could like try to run you guys down because they know they're in there somehow,
or prevent an escape.
Yeah.
So we call them, usually when we're putting them together, when we develop them, the person is either an internal threat, which means they're a threat to, it's like a safety risk.
Yeah.
They're a threat to, if we were just put someone with lesser training on them, they're going to be an issue for us. And then we got external threats. So we have folks that we take out that may have done something to someone else who is in an equally as big gang or whatever they've done. And it's an external
even just even just a relative of a victim.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anything. So there's an external threat. There's someone could want to harm them. And, we look at everything. There's doctor's appointments that we go to that may be in the neighborhood of one of our inmates. So if we see that, we're usually looking, the CRT team will activate and do a HRT.
So you guys are more proactive then. So
correct.
You're not waiting for a threat. You're not waiting for there to be some sort of an issue. You're just saying the potential is here, so we're going to activate.
So we're going to
take care of this one.
And we have standing inmates who are on our transport list. So if these inmates are to go out, we're called and we take them out. And then we have those one-offs to where the shift commander may think, I don't want. We're no better than staff. But I don't want the staff. You guys have the training, so you guys deal with this instead of the staff members dealing with it.
Yeah, and you guys got some training this last year on like how to drive evasively, and that was really cool to see too.
That was cool. That was very cool to see.
Yeah,
cool to
in case like someone was trying to run you guys down with their vehicle,
tries to box you in,
or like how to get out of those situations, which isn't typical training for detention.
Correct. Right. So, I mean, it's a good team to be a part of. Very good team.
That was cool.
Very good.
That's awesome. All right. Well, Freddie, we've grilled you about work stuff.
Yeah.
But what does Freddie do outside of work?
So I have 4 daughters. So they take up all my time.
That CRT stuff comes in handy for that too. High risk transport.
It definitely comes in handy, especially for boyfriends. When they're able to have them at 32 years old.
4 dogs.
They have to be 32.
That's the age.
They have to be 32.
The age is 32. Yeah.
The age is 32.
But no,
How old are your daughters?
I have a 25-year-old, a 22-year-old, 10-year-old and a 15-year-old. So I'm teaching the 15-year-old now how to drive. And
Did the driving lessons help with that? Your driving training?
oh man, I'm almost going into deep voice about this one. I'm serious about it. But man, that it is tough now. Trying to and so I said you're going to have to take driver's ed. So she's in driver's ed now. So
well, the good news is that she's interested in driving because there are kids these days, they don't have an interest in them.
right,
Yeah.
right.
And for me to hear that, I'm like,
That's
what?
crazy.
Like
I know. I was
had
dying.
Yeah, I had a calendar on the wall. I was counting down the days, ready to go.
And all of her friends are driving. They're driving. She's a late 15, so all of her friends are 16, however that works.
Right.
Yeah.
So they have their license and they're driving around, and she's
not, so she's chomping at the bit.
oh
That's
man,
good.
yeah. So
That's good.
a lot of my time is spent
Teaching her to drive,
with
bracing
the-
yourself.
And then recovering from
and with
teaching her
all
to
their
drive.
hobbies that they
Right.
have to do and the parties that they have to go to. And then I spend a lot of time. A lot of my off day, I have a good family structure and support. I have a lot of off time doing honor guard. We have a lot of weekend stuff,
A lot going on, yeah.
after hour stuff. So, but I do detach when I don't have any of that stuff to do. I detach and I just focus on
That's good. That's
being
important.
home. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are your daughters, your older daughters, what do they do? Are they in school? Are they
So
working?
my oldest daughter right now, she's studying for the LSAT.
Okay.
So
Oh,
she
awesome.
wants to be a
Oh,
lawyer.
wow.
Awesome.
Yep. My
Just what we need, more lawyers.
yeah, exactly. I got to hook her up with our legal department. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So she's doing that. My Daphne's 22. She has her own company right now, so she's doing her own thing, and she's doing the esthetician
Okay, good for
stuff.
her.
Yeah,
All
she's doing pretty
Nice.
good.
Good.
So is that what it esthetician?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So yeah,
Sounds good to me.
and she's
Says-
doing that, and she also wants to be. All of a sudden, she wants to be a nurse. So she's going through the nursing program also. So to have that supplemental or income coming in.
You didn't talk her into going to the jail with these new incentives?
No, she's not ready for that.
No.
She's definitely not ready.
She knows what the pay is and what the bonus is.
She knows
right?
what the pay. She knows
might
what the
get
bonus,
ready
but
really
she
fast.
definitely needs to. No, she's not ready. She's not.
Okay,
She
okay.
can deal with the inmates, but she's not ready to take. She don't even want to listen to me half the time. So she's not ready. She's not ready to come in here and listen to people. And then I'll be my wife Latoya.
Yeah.
She's a registered nurse.
Okay.
She's in the administrative part
Okay.
right now.
Well, you're
So
talking like your daughter. For some reason, she wants to be a nurse. Well, her mom is a nurse.
yeah,
Maybe
exactly.
that's
Yeah,
why.
she's doing that, and she wants her own business, so she's also working on that, trying to find
That
out
entrepreneurial
what she,
spirit.
what
I
she-
love it.
Oh, and it's deep right now.
Yeah.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
in
So
it.
she wants that. She really wants that. So that's her goal right now. So I'm trying to support that.
Yeah.
And help her out. And then my 15 and my 10-year-old, they're just going through life happy right now.
Good.
I mean, your
so.
15-year-old's scaring the hell out of you probably driving, but does she know what
Absolutely.
she wants to do when she grows up? Maybe we can get her on the
She
fast
does-
track.
You know what? She switches so much. I
Yeah.
don't even know what it is
That's
right
okay.
now.
I still don't know what I'm gonna do
switches
when
a
I grow
lot.
up,
Yeah,
so.
exactly. She switches a lot.
So that
and my
keeps you-
10-year-old is a singer. She wants to sing.
Okay.
She wants to sing. She asked Ramon. For. What is it?
Take your
daughters and sons.
Oh,
Day?
yeah.
I think we're gonna talk about that. We had Deputy Toll sing the national anthem. She wants to come out and she wants to sing the national anthem.
Oh.
So take
that'd
your
be
sons and
perfect.
daughters. Yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we'll see if we can get her.
Yeah.
See, I know someone in high places, so we'll see if we can.
Yeah,
I think you are someone in high places.
Yeah.
but,
No.
Faster track than I am. I'm still not a lieutenant.
You outrank us.
So you're pretty busy then. You outside of extracurricular things with related to honor guard and CRT, you got a lot going on.
Yeah, and I have my classic, my 68 Pontiac.
Oh yes,
That takes a lot of my time.
That's
up.
right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, Ricky, we have a calendar coming out next year.
We do. Well,
It's in there.
It's for this year. Yeah, our agency calendar for 2024 is agency members and their cool vehicles. And
Right.
we're
Yeah.
excited to have Lieutenant Hayes and his Pontiac.
My Pontiac is in there.
That was one I
That's
said. I
a
know
nice
Freddie's
looking
got something. We
car.
can get Freddie.
this is pretty nice.
So, we had Major Arnold a couple episodes ago, and he was talking about Men in the Making.
Oh,
You do a
yes,
little bit
that's-
with that. And he talked to us, in depth about it, but knowing what I know about it, I know you're exactly the right person that needs to be part of that mentoring young men, because particularly you have the end result piece. Right. Of course, the major does as well, but he's more so he's going to pick them up and then take them to jail, and then you have to deal with it. So
correct.
That's got to be a great. They have to have a lot of respect for your perspective on it.
Oh man, we that is that's another thing that we do that is you're doing something that's greater than yourself. When you're talking about honor guard and when you're talking about any type of mentorship program for the youth, we have to give back. That's why we're here. So those, we have other, we have Sergeant Watkins, we have Corporal Andrews, we have Deputy Alderman, Corporal Dinkins is with us, and Deputy Thompson over at the Core Squad. They're the main, Corporal Lawson. They're kind of the mainstays that are there every second Saturday, giving up their time, and we're there, up until 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon. But it's a beautiful program, and we take the kids all over. Let them see different things to get a different perspective on. There's more out here. There's more out here, and we try to show them that hey, law enforcement is a pathway also that you can that you can take. So it's a good program. It's a good program that the sheriff has actively engaged in. So
it's a good. You'll have the opportunity to do it, and of course, great role models. So Laura kind of started to tiptoe around it. As we kind of wrap up, we want to talk about the type of people you're looking for out to come work in the Department of Detention Corrections as a corrections deputy, because we currently have some pretty unheard of incentives going on. Of course, the sheriff takes good care of everybody with pay raises and things like that. The new starting pay for corrections, even a corrections recruit, is going to start at $65,000. Even if your sponsor going to the academy, you're getting paid $65,000.
And this could be somebody who's 19.
Yeah,
and has no prior experience.
This is when we're talking about sponsorship. We're talking about somebody that knows zero.
Right.
They know nothing. Straight off, right out of the streets. Well, not out of the streets, but somebody.
The streets of high school.
The streets of high school. But somebody comes in, and in that case, if you sign knowing nothing, you're going to the academy, getting paid $65,000, and we're paying for you to go to the academy. And by the way, you have a job when you come out of it.
Right.
None of that matters unless you're the right person.
Right.
So what kind of people are y'all looking for out of the jail? And why? Why should you want to work at the jail?
Really, I don't know of many people who, when they get out of high school, they say they want to go into corrections. Because, again, it's another hidden thing. You don't see corrections. You see the pretty car. You see all those, the nice lights on it. But, you got to have a willingness to learn. You have to have the ability to learn, the ability to listen and be dependable. Those are all traits of people that we're looking for. An open mind, some type of foundational structure to yourself, so that when you can come in, you can take orders, because you have to listen to people. So you got to have a willingness to listen to others. But we can develop you also. That's what the academy is for. Support just kind of switched up the FTO program a little bit to where they do it's a pre-program, PTO program, to where we take them in before the academy so that we can give them some of the different skills that they're going to need for the academy to successfully complete it. So you can come in, just be a canvas and allow us to paint. If you're a canvas and you're willing to allow us to mold you, come on in. You don't have to know much. You just have to be a willing vessel.
And you get to work with people like Lieutenant Hayes and other great people out of the jail, because camaraderie is a huge thing as well.
Absolutely. With anything, the people you work with is what makes the workplace environment enjoyable. And I try to create that atmosphere around me. There has to be balance. There has to be a time for holding folks accountable, but I don't have to be a stick a walking stick, for people. I came into this agency this same way, and I've always had a big personality. I am shy, but I've always had a big personality. And I've always smiled. I've always laughed. I like to have fun. And I take that everywhere I go. But there is a time for holding people accountable. And you have to also be able to do that. But, like I said, I don't have to walk around with a big stick acting as if I'm ready to, pound people. But make the workplace and environment enjoyable for everyone. And we have, I don't know. Well, there are some people who want a perfect place to work, and there's no perfect place ever in life. There's no perfect. So there are
possibly the PR bureau, but there's no
public relations. We're a good time.
Yeah, I don't think anything is perfect. So yes, there are times that you probably I don't feel like going in today, or you may not like somebody that you're working with. But guess what? You get to go home at the end of the day.
Right.
We're working 15 days or 14 days a month.
Yeah.
You're making so that
and
makes
air conditioning.
Good
I can deal with you for 14 days.
Opportunities to go do things like training.
Yeah.
We have 2 corrections certified deputies that are in the public information office.
Right.
There's a lot of opportunities.
The room for advancement is great. So if you want to come here, if your aspirations are to be in the pretty vehicle on the road, you can come
do that too.
To us. Do the Crossover Academy, and we have many former corrections officers that are on the road and that are doing well. So it's a good place to come in and hone those skills, get your interpersonal and your communications skills at a different level, and going out there on the road if that's what you so desire.
Regardless of what you're interested in, we always have great opportunities here to work at the Sheriff's Office. So if you visit pcsoweb.com/careers, there's probably something for you out there.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It is a fun place to work. So Freddie, we like to give all of our guests an opportunity to share something with the public that would make your job easier. What do you want? Now, maybe, if I would ask, if it's something other than please lock your doors, because that's what we've gotten for forensics, for everybody else. But what personal PSA, maybe, if you have any, to make your job easier as a lieutenant in the jail?
Let's see, to make my job easier, if we can not bring uncooperative marchmen to the jail, that would make my life
all right, well,
much easier.
So for the public,
deputies,
though, this is not for the deputies.
For the public, do not be that
So for the
uncooperative
public,
marchman.
don't be an uncooperative marchman.
There we go. Yeah.
That's someone who's taken into protective custody because they're under the influence of alcohol or drugs, right?
For the public, love on your families. Love on your families. And lock your doors. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Okay,
love on your family and lock your
There it
doors.
is.
Wise words.
There it is.
Before we close, I do have one thing to add. We talked about this a little bit today and before the show. CRT and SWAT have a little bit of a rivalry. You had a suggestion for something to benefit society.
I think this would be a benefit to the public also. So you have D-Bol on here.
He's going to be next.
He's coming up.
He's coming up next, and then we have the powers that be that are in here that can make some things happen. And I'm proposing a annual charity event between CRT and SWAT.
Oh, I like
and
this.
it can encompass obstacle course, the PAT field, shooting, but they can't have their pretty weapons. We have to use the agency issued Glock 21 for the shooting competition. And if we're going to use ARs, we have to use the iron sights, not the pretty red dot that they have, So I think that would be awesome if we can make that into an annual event, and we can donate to the sheriff's ranch, we can youth ranch, we can however, however we do it. But I think that would be awesome. I think it would be great.
I really like this idea.
He's throwing it down.
I'm throwing down the gauntlet.
Let's see if D-Bol picks it up.
I think between the next 2, we can get something done with this.
I have a feeling.
So, Freddie, it's been great having you.
It's been awesome.
Appreciate it.
It's been awesome.
I hope it's pretty clear to everybody why Freddie is one of our favorites. And it's an incredible, big, pound for pound, best personality.
Pound for pound, in my most humble opinion.
Shy. But most of all, he's passionate about his job, and he's passionate about leadership and setting an example for the men and women that work at the Pinellas County Jail. So we appreciate you taking the time to come on and chat with us, and we'll let you know how it goes with Sergeant D-Bol.
Thank you. I may do a guest appearance, at the end. I should be able to come in right before you ask
get them all riled up.
and I should be able to sit right here and see what his answer is going to be.
Freddie Hayes, everybody.
Call
Thanks
back.
a lot for coming on. So, as always, we appreciate your feedback and ideas. We're starting to get great feedback and ideas from our guests, but we're most worried about our listeners because you're the ones that pay the bills, I guess, as we should say. So please, if you have any feedback for us, if there's somebody you want to hear from, you can reach out to us via email by emailing
Let's56@pcsofnet.com. That's LETS56@pcsofnet.com. I should have lowered my voice.
You should have.
You got to do the low voice.
LETS56@pcsofnet.com.
Laura Sullivan, everybody. Great job. Thanks for listening. Talk to you next time.